The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is Joey Osborne.
And Blanco Loco.
And we are live on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Try saying that 4 times when you've had one too many drinks.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here alongside the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll be discussing nights 11 through 15 of the G1 Climax 28, as well as covering all the latest news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. You can support our show and network by subscribing on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the podcasts and columns at socialsuplex.com. Go to socialsuplex.com/subscribe to sign up to get the podcast and columns delivered directly to your email inbox. Also, make sure you check out our friends at purerezuroad.com. They have a lot of great Puro coverage and reviews and podcasts up there, including our podcast. So check those guys out at purerezuroad.com. All right, young boy. So July is over. We're in August. So before we jump into the nights that we need to kind of talk about, I think we got to name our July Wrestler of the Month and July Match of the Month.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say that this might be the most significant Wrestler and Match of the Month. Well, maybe not Match of the Month, but Wrestler of the Month of the whole year, because it's right in the meatiest part of the G1 Climax. You know what I mean? Going into August, I think we have a few nights. And that's going to be huge. And obviously, the best is yet to come with the G1 Climax. So we still have all of August coming. But I mean, July is just a juggernaut of a month when it comes to match output, match quality. So I mean, it almost feels like this month alone weighs more than, like, let's say a March.
Right. Know? Yeah. During like the what was it, New Beginning or something?
like a road to New Beginning tour. Or a Sakura Genesis Kazuna Road tour. Yeah. Like it's not the same. You know what I mean? And it's been fantastic.
Oh yeah, this has been an excellent G1 tournament. Several high caliber matches. I mean, this is probably going to be one of our toughest months deciding the match and the wrestler.
In a way it is, and in a way it's not.
Yeah.
In a way, like, we didn't have to, like, go back and rewatch stuff and discuss. And I don't think that our opinions here are going to even be that controversial. What a reversal. No, I think that people listening are probably, like, they probably know who the Wrestler of the Month is going to be. I think that one will be a little bit more, up in the air. But I think Match of the Month is open and shut case. Yeah. Really. So what do you want to start with?
Let's start with Wrestler of the Month. So that's pretty much, I'm sure everybody's probably already guessed it by now. And unanimous decision, the Stone Pitbull, Tomohiro Ishii, the Japanese best bout machine.
The best bout machine. Like, yeah, man. And we could have gone a few other ways. I mean, there's several guys that have been having incredible G1 tournaments right now. Not only that, but we also had to factor in, the G1 special in San Francisco, as well as the Rev Pro / New Japan shows over in the UK. Well, not all of them, just the second night.
Yeah.
Because the first night of those shows took place, at the end of June?
Right, I think it was wasn't it June 30th or something like that?
Yeah, and so the last night just made the cutoff, and I think that's one of the things that really kind of put Tomohiro Ishii over over the top, because not only is this guy having an incredible G1, but that match he had with Suzuki over the British Championship.
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, you've got that, and then let's talk about the matchup that this guy's had.
So yeah, I mean, in the G1 there was the match of Goto. I mean, that was like a strong style banger right there. The Ibushi match.
The Zack Sabre match.
Zack Sabre Jr. match.
The Yano match.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably one of the best Yano matches of the whole tournament.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, Tomohiro Ishii, now, the one knock on him is he hasn't been in the main event. For the majority of these cards. I don't know if he's main evented a single card, has he?
I don't
I'm trying to remember.
Wait, yeah, wasn't the Goto match? Wasn't the Goto?
The Goto match might have been a main event, yeah. But,
because that was in Kirkin Hall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Ishii, we've talked about before, he's not at the top of the card. He's their utility guy. He fits a role like Cesaro did a couple years ago. Right. You know what I mean? Like
he's what Vince McMahon would call a good hand.
He's a good hand. He's a B+ player. He's an upper mid card guy. Right. He's an important guy, but he has his role and he's got a glass ceiling and he's not going to break it. And even through all that, he's putting on the best performances night in and night out than over anybody. Now, if there are people who could say, well, what about Omega and what about Ibushi? And to a lesser extent, I guess you could even say, what about Zack Sabre and what about Naito and even Goto? That just shows you how stacked B Block is, altogether.
Yeah.
But for my money, when you factor in everything that these guys have done, I think Ibushi and maybe even to a greater extent, I think the thing I was really torn. I thought maybe I might want to go with Omega. Yes. Because he defended the belt, against Cody successfully in a great match, and then, went straight into the G1, and he's been at the top of the card. He was undefeated until just very recently, and all of July he was undefeated. So he's having a legendary tournament, and he's putting out, quality match after quality match after quality match. My biggest thing though is that for every single Ishii match has stuck out in my mind throughout the entire tour. I don't think, except for maybe the Tama Tonga match, and even that's probably the best. That was the best. We'll talk about it a little bit later. That was one of the best Tama Tonga matches of the whole tour. Yeah, I don't think they even happened in July, but just to kind of give you a background, he's putting on a legendary. If I have to talk about, and we're gonna get to it, but last year we talked about the MVP of the G1 Climax, and everyone talked about how it was Yuji Nagata, match after match after match. That's Ishii this year. We talked about it before. He didn't have to go this hard. Right. But he is.
Yes. That man loves wrestling. You can just tell in the body of his work. And he goes out there and gives 100%, 110% every time. And he's having these epic, legendary battles that we're going to be talking about for the rest of the year and the years to come. A lot of his matches are going to be probably on the ballot for match of the year when we do our Keeping It Strong Style year-end awards.
Yeah, man. I mean, when you talk about the top 10 matches from this tournament, almost half of them have Ishii on them. The Ibushi match, the Goto match, the Omega match, which was in August, but even the Naito match, the Sabre match, then you factor in also
the Rev Pro stuff.
The Rev Pro match he had with Suzuki. The only real knock you could have on him is he didn't really have a banger with Yano, but really nobody has, and right. you know what you're getting there. And then the fact that he didn't have a high profile match at the G1 in San Francisco, but when you put his body of work up against Ibushi's or Omega's, taking nothing away from them, and it is very close, he's the guy. He's the performer of the tournament right now.
And man, and definitely, I mean, we've been saying this for months now. I mean, since we started the podcast, one of the best sellers on the New Japan roster right now, man.
Yep. So, congratulations to Tomohiro Ishii. He is our wrestler of the month for July.
Yeah, good.
And he might be for August too. We don't know yet.
Yeah, still a few more matches from him. So speaking of matches, the match of the month.
Okay. So the match of the month is this legendary battle between Tomohiro Ishii and Kota Ibushi, man.
Yeah, dude.
16 minutes of hell, fury, and war.
Dude. I freaking loved that match. That was talk about epic encounters, man. Oh man, like I don't even know how to like describe how awesome that match was. I mean, it had everything you could want in a match, man. The hard hits, the strikes, the high flying maneuvers, blood.
Yeah, I mean, something about it just really was reminiscent of his match with Nakamura. Just like the strong style nature of it, like how freaking they were killing each other, man.
Yeah,
they're killing each other. And I listened back to our review of it, and I was like, man, I never even talked about like the throat punches from Kota Ibushi.
Oh yeah,
when he was punching like Ishii in the throat, and then when Ishii was chopping him in the throat. I mean, this was just like 16 minutes of brutality, and it was perfect, and it does shine out to me as one of the best matches I've seen this entire year.
Yeah, incredible stuff. So yeah. Ishii,
and I mean, and this thing had to compete with Goto and Ishii. It had to compete with Kenny Omega and Goto,
Kenny and
Naito. I mean, a lot of like really, really, really top caliber stuff, throughout that month. But I would say that this was the best one of the entire tournament so far.
Yeah.
In that month.
Yeah, it's been incredible stuff. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of his other matches when we go through.
And we're talking about it like beating like 5-star rated matches.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's other months where we're like, was that 4.5-star match better than that 4 3/4 star match? I don't know.
We're like, is this 5-star match better than this 5-star match?
And for some reason, it does stick out to me, like, I don't know. I won't get into a star rating like debate here, but
I'll say this. I think Ishii, he heard our brother Rich Latta. Nobody's got time for 4-star matches. Nobody's got time for 4 1/4, 4.5, 4.75.
That's the most ridiculous.
5 stars.
That's the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard in my life. That's hilarious.
Shout out, Rich.
I actually read this really interesting article the other day on, I think it was WrestleZone. I'm trying to remember where it was. They were talking about the homogenization of wrestling.
Yeah.
And how, like, the star rating scale basically sucks. And it's not a good indicator of, like, wrestling in general.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily agree with it, but it was definitely thought-provoking. Worth checking out. But, yeah, man, I mean, Ishii, Wrestler of the Month, Match of the Month, like, freaking incredible.
Yeah, man.
Incredible.
Great stuff. All right, so let's talk about G1 Climax. We got 3 nights left, the final night of the A block. We have the A block finals, B block finals. So we're going to go through the...
We've got 4 nights left. We got a show Wednesday and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
We still have the final B block.
Right, 3 shows until the finals. My bad. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 shows.
Last A block night, A block finals, B block finals, and the overall finals.
No, it's the last B block night. We already had the last A block night.
Okay. I'm all messed up.
Bro, it's been a long journey.
Yeah.
It's been a long journey. Yeah, so
that's right. Yeah, night 16. Yeah.
Yep, we just got one more B block night, and then we're going to A block finals,
B block finals, overall finals. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna start with A block, and we're gonna start at the bottom, work our way up, talk about who's out, who's still in, possible scenarios. We'll talk about some of these guys' overall performance and the matches they've had over these nights.
We've got 5 nights to cover. You're gonna have to help me to even remember who wrestled who on what night and what we saw over this course of time.
Yeah. So let's take a look. So we're starting with A block. Starting down at the bottom, we have Yoshihashi and Togi Makabe tied at 4 points. So obviously both of these guys are eliminated.
They started at the bottom, and now they're here. Still at the bottom.
Still at the bottom. So let's start with Yoshihashi. So on night 11, trying to pull up some of these results here. All right, here. So July 30th was night 11. We had Yoshihashi going against Hiroshi Tanahashi in the opening match of the night.
Yeah, so...
Or was that the main event, actually?
This list here is kind of messed up. Yeah. It was like, I think it was the semi-main event that night.
Yeah, it was a semi-main, yeah.
So, I mean, I'll tell you what, before we even get started, night 30... was probably for me. I'm not gonna say it was strictly the worst night of the tournament because I haven't looked it up, but it felt like it to me. It was the hardest one for me to get through by far.
Bro, me too, man.
It wasn't good. And this Tanahashi-Yoshihashi match was a match I kind of had expectations for. Just because, it's Tanahashi, and I think he could probably get something good out of Yoshihashi, but not so. Not on this night. I thought it was average at best.
Yeah, it was very average, and it's just, in normal part of the year it might be considered good, but in the G1, to me, it was an overall average match.
If we're looking at Yoshihashi, he had the match with Tanahashi on night 30, or I'm sorry, on July 30th. He had the match with Jay White on August 2nd, and then on August 5th he wrestled Makabe. Okay.
Or, no, what's that? No,
he wrestled Makabe on the opening night.
Right. Bad Luck Fale.
Okay, so I'll kind of give him a pass on the Bad Luck Fale stuff because that's almost at this point just throwaway.
Yeah.
I actually thought the Jay White match was okay. He didn't play spoiler to Jay White like I expected him to.
Right.
But I really don't have much to say here. After Yoshihashi's whole, quest for trying to stay alive died, he pretty much just became cannon fodder in this tournament.
Right. Yeah. None of these matches were really standout or spectacular.
I would say the Jay White match out of all of them, for probably the character work and stuff, it was the most interesting. But even still, there was nothing special here. And it's kind of sad to say because Yoshihashi was putting on inconsistent good performances. It seemed like one night he'd be off, one night he'd be on.
Yeah.
But ever since, this last stretch of these last 3 shows that he was on, I would not give him a high rating at all.
Right. If you're a cherry picker,
nothing's worth seeing here.
Yeah, you can just...
Unless you're really interested in what's been going on with Jay White, which it has been interesting.
Yeah.
But other than that, nah. And let's talk about him and Bad Luck Fale. What the crap? Oh
my gosh, bro. Those guys are just bumbling out there.
It's not even just that. I'm more okay, so it ended in a DQ.
Yeah.
So Yoshihashi picked up a couple points there, which is probably some sort of consolation victory for him. But at the end of the day, why in the world would Bad Luck Fale need any kind of outside interference
to beat the lowest guy in the block?
That makes no sense to me.
We're talking about Bad Luck Fale, a guy who's averaged 12 points every year, a guy who's beaten Okada and Tanahashi without help, Nakamura without help, and now you come to Yoshihashi and he needs Tangaloa and Tama Tonga.
Yeah. Now, one thing I did see that some people were commenting about this, and they were saying that, not all New Japan fans necessarily watch these matches on New Japan World. They're not always, for instance, if they're going to go see them live, maybe they haven't seen every single live match that these guys have had.
Right.
So, some of these interferences and DQs, because maybe the crowd is kind of into it just because it's fresh for them. We saw the finish there again with Red Shoes.
Red Shoes 316, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the whole thing is, what a lot of people have been saying, it's kind of like the Road 2 shows, where we see the same tag match over and over and over again, some of the same matches over and over, because they're pretty much doing the same match for different cities.
Right.
So they're trying to, drive home the fact the Tongans don't care about the G1. They're causing havoc and chaos, and they're going to get DQ'd. So they're doing those constant finishes, Jay White finishes, the breath bump low blow thing. They're doing those constant finishes because they're trying to get every city to see this point that they're trying to make with these characters.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I also do have to question how true that is, because I'm sure there has to be diehard fans as well, like us, who are sick of it and who have been seeing it night after night, right, who are following it.
I feel bad for that one dude that's what's his name, Frazier, that's went to all night, has tickets for all 19 nights, and he's been going to every single night.
I can't feel too bad for the guy. He's going to every single G1.
Yeah.
But it's the same crap over and over again. I think it is questionable booking at this point. But Yoshihashi, he's pretty much eliminated. There's not much to say there. Nothing stand out. And one thing it does make me wonder is, like, does he come back for G1 next year? So many people, like, this year were like, he shouldn't be in it. But it's been like, well, they built him up. Is the funny thing, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
They gave him a lot of wins to get him ready for the G1 to make him look strong, and then he's here and he's got 4 points, and one's from a DQ.
Next year, I think it's going to be tough for him to get in. Think about all the guys who are either hurt or just like in young boy status that could get in. The guys that are hurt, Trent Beretta. You telling me with the heavyweight push they were doing with him, that Beretta wouldn't have a spot in G1 this year if he was healthy?
Maybe not. I mean, Yoshihashi's a dojo boy, but I mean, at this point, I feel like for everyone who's like, well, you guys shouldn't hate so much on tacos, yada yada. I'm like, well, he didn't really do much for me this year, to be honest with you.
Yujiro Takahashi's had some good singles matches this year. You're telling me he couldn't be in the G1?
I mean, I would say going into this G1, it would have made more sense to have Yoshihashi than Yujiro, but who knows? I mean, the G1 next year is a whole year away, but it does seem like. It seems like, I don't know. Like, I would be almost a little bit surprised if they did decide to bring Yoshihashi back next year.
If Kojima was at full health.
Oh my god.
Bread Club for life.
I think if Kojima was in this, we'd be getting this is going to be my last G1.
And we would get some great matches. He would be giving Ishii a run for Wrestler of the Month, MVP of the tournament.
Yo, this is not a comedy show. You got some ridiculous takes right now. Like, people like to go online and make fun of the stuff I say, but this is.
I'm gonna get flamed this week. Mr. ACP's been waiting for this moment.
You're going a little over the top right now, man. Bring it back down to reality. But yeah, so anything else to say about Yoshihashi? Because I really don't have much.
No, let's Togi Makabe also at 4 points.
He's there.
Yeah.
He was in this tournament.
He wrestled Bad Luck Fale on July 30th. Then he wrestled Hangman Page. And then he wrestled Jay White.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing with Makabe, he was another guy that I had said prior to the tournament I could have probably done without him being in there. Now, obviously, he's going to be in there for lots of different reasons. I mean, he's a senior guy. He's a former G1 winner. He's a former IWGP champion. He's one of the most popular stars in the company. But I'm thinking, after how many more G1s does he have? I'm sure he'll probably be there next year. But I mean, there's not much this year. The best match I think I saw him have was with Yoshihashi.
Yeah. I mean, usually Makabe is a guy that finishes around 8 points, and he's only at 4 right now.
Yeah, we'll talk about the booking of this tournament because it's been very, very interesting. It's been very different from recent past years. But Makabe, he took a defeat against Fale where there was a lot of interference. I did not necessarily like that match, which is funny because I've seen them have good matches before. I think they wrestled on the opening night of G1 last year.
I think so.
And I liked that match a lot for what it was.
Yeah.
This wasn't that. Then he wrestled Hangman, which I actually liked that match.
I like that match too. Hangman's been working hard this whole tournament.
I've liked almost every Hangman match the entire tournament, so that's not really a shock to me. In fact, I'll say on August 2nd, that might be one of the top 2 matches of the night, if not for me the match of the night. But I don't think a lot of it did have to do with Makabe there.
I think it was mainly about the work that Hangman Page was putting in.
Plus, seeing Hangman kind of pick up a win over Makabe
that was a big deal. I mean,
yeah, it was a big deal. So that was cool. There's something that's got to be said for a guy like Makabe putting over an outsider like Hangman Page. That's great. But
and then August 5th we had Makabe and Jay White, which again was just fine.
It's a story match, character work, lots of outside shenanigans. Well, a lot of the shenanigans that Jay White's been pulling off in this tournament. I don't have a huge take there. It's just, what do you think?
I mean, Makabe, I think he's been. I wouldn't say he hasn't been trying. I think he's been, trying to work hard as best as he can at this stage in his career, but. he's not on a level of some of the top stars or younger guys in this tournament.
Let's make no mistake about it. Makabe has never been a super worker at any point in his entire career.
Right.
But with that being said, he's still there. There are times where you can get good stuff out of him. There's nothing. I don't want to like downgrade him too much because this is what you expect from him at this point in his career.
Right.
Solid performances here and there.
I mean,
but you're not going to get anything blow away when it comes to
he's slowly moving into Nagata, Kojima territory in these tournaments.
Should we call him a part timer? But yeah, Makabe's had a respectable run in this tournament, but with 4 points, he hasn't had the greatest success or anything like that.
Right.
He's eliminated effectively. He's got a couple more matches coming up, at least one more tournament match. Mm-hmm. Let's kind of take a look. Yeah, so Yoshihashi on the A block final night will be taking on Hangman Page, which is kind of interesting. And then with Makabe, you've got him going against Elgin, which actually could deliver pretty well. But,
yeah.
Those are matches for pride at this point, more so than anything else.
Yeah. So then next we have a 3-way tie at 6 points with Hangman Page, Bad Luck Fale, and Big Michael Elgin. So let's start with Hangman Page. This guy has been impressing a lot of people in the New Japan office, a lot of New Japan wrestlers. There have been a couple backstage promos where, got like Tanahashi says he wants to take him away from the Bullet Club. And tutor him, like mentor him. And a couple other guys have been, saying like, yeah, Hangman needs to leave Bullet Club and like break out on his own.
Chono?
Yeah, Chono picked him to win the whole thing.
Well, I guess Chono was wrong. You look like an idiot now, don't you, Masahiro Chono?
Like, Chono, shouldn't you like talk to Rocky Ghetto about the booking and be like, before I say this, like, how's this kid gonna do?
Like, Masahiro Chono led 2 factions that were very similar to Bullet Club, and like you're gonna tell me that like one of the lowest level guys in the like group is like that what the deal is, Masahiro Chono. Like the young boy is not gonna freaking win the tournament. Like,
yeah,
come on, you know better than that. But anyways, all kidding aside, I've been so impressed with Hangman Page. You want my hot take?
Yeah.
Everyone keeps telling me that Michael Elgin is the performer of the A block and the MVP of A block, but not for me, man. It's Hangman Page.
Hangman Pagey.
Hangman Pagey, bro.
Pagey.
Now, I won't sit here and say that Pagey has had the high-level quality matches that B block has produced, or that he's even had as stellar of matches as some of the outputs that like Okada or Elgin have put out. But night after night, in a weaker block, he is the most impressive performer, bar none, for me, of the whole block. And I don't even like Hangman Page that much.
And I know you weren't a fan of the Jay White match, but for whatever reason, I love that. I like that Jay White match.
Oh, I didn't like that match. So July 30th, he wrestled Jay White.
Yeah.
Bro, I tried watching that, bro, as a courtesy to you, out of respect for Jeremy Donovan.
To earn my respect.
Oh, man, we got to talk to you guys about, what was that, Friday night?
Yeah.
The Cuban Civic Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cigar club. That was crazy. We'll talk about that later in the show, but yeah. So out of respect for you, you told me this match was good. I watched it one time. I got halfway through it. I wasn't liking it. I told you I didn't like it. You're like, just give it another shot.
Yeah, you came out a couple times. You were like, bro, I can't get into this match right now.
No, I really couldn't. And I think part of it too is like the fatigue. Part of it is the fatigue of, I've heard other people say like, oh, it's been spread out really well. It's been booked really well. Maybe I don't like wrestling as much as you guys. I don't know. I feel like I do, but man, I'm feeling it. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
I'll definitely say I think I have a higher threshold out of anybody on the Social Suplex
for watching
team.
wrestling.
Yeah.
Man, bro, yeah, I get tired, dude. Like, here's the thing. I think my biggest mistake is letting a day or two go past.
Yes, that's the mistake I made last year. I let a couple days get behind me, and then I got behind. I was like, crap. Like,
I haven't even got that far behind. I'll get like 1 or 2 days behind, and then, you watch one night, and it's an A block night, and it sucks. And then you watch a B block night.
It's awesome.
And it's great, but you just watched a whole A block night right before it, and you're like, oh man.
And I think part of it too is like we have like a commitment to watch all these shows and talk about them here on the show. We never had that before, so
I've never had this before.
We could like cherry pick, we could skip, we could do whatever,
Yeah, this is brand new for me, and like also having to pay it. Here's the thing, I do pay attention, but like for the viewers that we have and for the show that we put on and the type of product that I want to produce, there is a certain level of attention and detail that I'd like to give to these matches. And sometimes, we're talking about like 100 matches.
Yeah.
We're talking about like 100 tournament matches. So it's difficult. I'm not going to lie. I'm sticking with it. I'm all caught up at this point, so that's good news. But this A block night, July 30th, was tough for me. This match with Hangman and Jay White took place right in the middle of the card. And I didn't think it was good. I didn't think it was anywhere near the match that they had
at Strong Style Evolved.
Nowhere near it.
I don't think it was that little, but I don't know.
Not even close.
I like the selling of the back from Hangman.
They did some good work. Yeah, I'm not going to take that away from them. But as an overall story and an overall flow of a match, sometimes I don't even have to necessarily sit here and describe why I don't like a match. Sometimes you just don't feel it.
Yeah.
And I watched it, bro, 2.5 times. I watched it a full time, didn't like it, gave it a day, watched it a whole another day, and I said, this match is not good. That is my take on it. I am sorry.
It's all good, man. But I mean, the Togi Makabe match, like we mentioned, that was another good showing for Hangman.
I'm glad that, so Hangman up to that point had 2 points, and it was just from a DQ, and he was the bottom of the barrel, which is funny that I'm calling him my performer of the A block, because he's pretty much a loser. But that's the thing. A guy that's losing almost every match, he looks fantastic in almost every single loss.
Yeah, thank God that Kenny gave him that book, because he was able to get the big win on Makabe here, and then
he got the will to win.
Yeah.
And then he started winning, and he picked up 2 points here.
And then moving on to August 5th, he beat Minoru Suzuki. I was not expecting that.
I don't know if you heard me Sunday morning freak out in my room.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing, I was wondering if you heard me the day before, because I remember that early that afternoon, like I was like marking out, and then later on when you were watching stuff, I heard you marking out too.
Yeah. But I watched this Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Like before you saw it.
Okay.
And I didn't know if you heard me. I was like, holy crap! Holy crap!
I remember you were like, bro, an awesome match just happened or something like that.
It wasn't even that it was a great match, but I was just it was a good match, but I was very, very shocked that Minoru Suzuki, the British, like the undisputed British heavyweight champion, just put over Hangman Page.
Yeah, bro, it was crazy. Like
this dude just got his own music just now. Like he's the tag team guy. Like he's friends with the Young Bucks. That's his role, and he just beat mother freaking Minoru Suzuki. Like it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, dude, that was crazy. And as the match was coming down to the end, like I had a feeling that the finish was going to be one of them reversing their move into the other. But I for sure thought it was going to be Suzuki reversing the rite of passage.
I had a feeling
into the gotch.
I had a feeling it was going to be chokehold, gotch, 1, 2, 3. See a Hangman Page, go to hell, go back to Ring of Honor, go wrestle Punishment Martinez or some crap. Get out of our ring. Nah, bro. They put him over.
Clean.
They put him over clean.
Rite of passage. Drop Suzuki right on his head.
This tournament's been weird with how many champions have lost. And I usually you anticipate that, like, title shots are going to be set up. I don't think that this would... Well, Minoru Suzuki, he's a smart man. He ain't bringing his belt down to the ring every night because he doesn't want you
to remember.
He doesn't want you people to remember, like, oh, this guy's a champion. Like, I might get a title shot off this. He's like, nah, bump that. He's like, that belt stays back there. He's like, this that ain't got nothing to do with this tournament.
We're in Japan right now, bro.
But I do wonder. I'm like, does this put him in line for a title shot? Like, that would be freaking cool. I don't think it will, but I mean, it is a big deal. It's probably the biggest singles win of his entire career up to this point. And it puts him at 6 points, where this was a guy who a few nights before had 2 points.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a real win, hardly. It was a DQ.
And he has one more match left. Who's he got on that last night there? Evil.
That's
or not?
real.
Oh, sorry, that's Jay White. My bad. He has Yoshihashi.
Oh.
So if he can pull the win out there, he can get to 8 points, which I don't remember. That's what I said. Hangman was going to get about 8 points.
I think I said he'd end up with like 4 or 6.
Yeah.
So like I feel pretty happy. I actually think he'll probably lose to Yoshihashi. That way Yoshihashi doesn't look like a total bumski.
Yeah, and with 6 points.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point, he just beat Minoru Suzuki. He probably should beat Yoshihashi.
Yeah. He beat Makabe and Suzuki.
Back to back.
Yeah, he needs...
It's a big deal.
Yeah, he needs to ride the passage Yoshihashi out the G1.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I do wish, Gato, if you're listening... I do wish that there was like a threshold where it's like, hey, if you're in the G1 and you perform to a certain level, whether that be match quality or whether that be like kayfabe wise, you don't get to come back.
Yeah.
I feel like...
Or set something up where you gotta like fight for your spot with guys who are eligible, like a Toa Hanare, that C block they keep joking around with.
Yeah, they don't really set up like qualifier matches for the tournament. And I almost like for guys that are gonna be in it, maybe not so much. Like I don't want to see like Tanahashi having a qualifier match with like
against David Finlay.
Yeah, that would suck. But put Yoshihashi in there with like a Hanare and see who's really about it. You know what I mean? And then like if one guy ends up not being in it, he has something to fight for. I remember Yujiro Takahashi he cut a promo during the New Japan Cup, and he talked about how like he was going to go deep into the tournament and it was going to be his ticket to getting back into the G1. And I was like, that's awesome storytelling. Like this is a guy who's trying to get in the G1 and he didn't make it this year. Like, and then you got Yoshihashi like wasting breath, wasting space, like taking someone's spot. Like you're going to be on this tournament, be in this tournament, man. Put something out there. Like A Block has been a chore to get.
Yeah, I mean A Block was pretty much anybody's ball game to be the MVP, I would think.
Yeah, I mean it's just like WWE this year, super low standards. Like you don't even have to do that well. You just be a really good quality opening match guy like Seth Rollins and be the wrestler of the year. It's what it feels like a little bit in the A Block.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious, bro.
My God. But anyways, yeah, man, super, super, super impressed with Hangman Page. I mean, bro, this is a guy that came out of the dojo in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
He was a young boy over there, basically, for when he started. And now he's in Japan and he's beating one of the greatest legends in Japanese pro wrestling history.
Yeah, I mean,
it's freaking awesome.
I definitely see, really big things going forward for Hangman in New Japan.
That whole Triple H analysis that I gave earlier in the year is starting to sound smarter now. Like, this guy's delivering, and it's great. It's great. So, who else has 6 points?
Bad Luck Fale.
Oh, my God. Dusty old...
Dusty.
Old Dusty ass. Bad Luck Fale. Ruining the G1.
Yes.
Oh, my
Lowering
God.
the average.
Lowering the average. Oh, my God.
My gosh, bro.
Do we even have to talk about this? Can we just skip this just like I skip his matches every single night? I actually don't. That's the bad part. I don't skip his matches. Hey, listeners.
Because we have an obligation to these people, to these fans.
Bad Luck Fale beat Makabe. We already talked about that match, but basically he beat him by cheating. On August the 2nd, Bad Luck Fale lost to Michael Elgin
via DQ. Once again, same shenanigans with Tangaloa, Tamatonga. Then afterwards, they jumped Elgin.
Yep, they jumped him, attacked his arm, and then on August 5th, Bad Luck Fale wrestled Yoshihashi, which we already covered, and
again with DQ.
This dude's got 6 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest criticism, just aside from the crappiness of the finishes and like the tiredness of it all, is just simply that it doesn't make sense, because this is a guy who literally has never been booked to need help.
Dude, he's at half of what he normally gets.
I'm not even talking like, okay, if he was losing matches or whatever, that would be one thing.
Right.
But this is a guy who, in the matches themselves, they're booking the matches in a way to where the DQ is needed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
The ref bump is needed for his survival. How is that possible?
Like, did he get that much worse over the last year?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, did him going on this keto diet, losing all this weight, getting in better shape, translate to him like being a worse wrestler and a worse performer? Like,
You know what I think the problem is that I think he was depressed because
Peter was gone for so long.
was in Bullet Club Elite with Yujiro. I think that's the problem here.
It probably is, bro. Sexually frustrated.
And you know,
You would think that'd make him better, though.
Yeah.
You know how they say, like, you don't like have sex before like a big fight, you know, because it makes the legs weak. It's like, yo, if your girl's gone, like that should give you like rage and animosity. He should be a monster out here, just
crushing dudes,
effing up dudes, steamrolling people. Like literally, you had a tough time with Yoshihashi. I know I made that like whole same reference back during the Michael Elgin match early in the tournament, but this is even more egregious to me.
Yeah. And they've been pushing the fact that, you know, he hasn't been pinned this whole tournament, pinned or submitted this whole tournament. And I guess they're trying...
It's a method of protection.
Right. They're trying to, like, protect him and keep him strong, saying he hasn't been pinned or submitted. But he's looking weak in these DQs. He's not looking strong.
Yeah, every DQ looks very, very weak. I mean, you know, this is how business used to run back in the 80s, so I'm not totally opposed to DQ finishes. I know, like, some of my other, like, social suplex brethren, you know, I'll turn them on to an 80s match and like, oh, it's going to be a DQ finish. This is going to be a count out.
Guys, if you ever get the chance to hang out with Josh and he's going to put on an 80s match, get ready for there to be some kind of DQ screwy finish at the end.
Not always, but sometimes. A lot of the time, okay? But that's neither here nor there. Like, that's just how business used to operate. And I know Gato is very influenced by Memphis and things like that, so that makes sense to me. But there is a way to book the match and to work the match to where the guy who's getting DQ'd doesn't necessarily look weak. Every single match, Tama Tonga as well as Bad Luck Fale, they look weak, and they're supposed to be the top guys in this little mini faction. So my interest in it has, you know, we started out. We've done. Is this our fourth G1 episode or third?
I think it's our fourth.
Third or fourth.
Yeah.
We started out. We're like, we'll see where it goes. I like the fact that he doesn't care. I like the fact that they're, you know. Then it happened again. We're like, wow, that's kind of happening every night. And then now it's just like, why would you watch these matches? Like, literally, at a certain point, like, all you really have to know is that a ref bump is coming, and then there's going to be outside interference, and it's either going to be a screw job finish or it's going to be a DQ.
Right.
And it does no favors for anybody. And, like, I don't want to see these guys after the G1. Like, this doesn't build heat for me, anticipation. I don't want to see someone get their comeuppance against these guys. And I'm a big fan of comeuppance. I like when there's a bad guy like Jay White is doing it the right way.
Yes.
Jay White, I want to see someone kick the crap out of him. Jay White knows how to, like, use outside interference and underhanded tackle.
And win.
And win. And if he doesn't win, like, he's trying to win. But these guys, like, I'm just like, I really don't care. And before the G1, I cared. Not like it's not like I was
Dude, that angle at in San Francisco, man.
Yeah. We were talking about how it was going to be like one of the hottest angles of the whole year, set up this big war. We were so excited to see what these guys were going to do. And now I literally could care less about them. Like, get them off my TV screen. If Bad Luck Fale and Tama Tonga and Tangaloa went away tomorrow, I would not care. I would not be upset about it whatsoever. That's my level of disdain about this whole thing at this point. I'd rather watch Yoshihashi wrestle.
Yeah. And yeah, that's saying it all right there.
That says it all right there. Yoshihashi comes out, and I'm like, Yoshihashi, at least this match might be okay. Bad Luck Fale comes out, I'm like, why would I even watch this at this point? Like,
right.
They've literally gotten him under with me. Completely under. I don't care. What do you think?
Dude, I'm on the same boat, man. Like, you can talk about character development in storylines and getting heat and all this stuff, but dude, how can anybody get entertainment in watching the same finish over and over and over again in these Bad Luck Fale matches.
They look like jobbers, man.
He's lost all this weight, you expect him to be like moving a little bit faster, having some better matches. And no. It's overall underwhelming performance for me in my book.
They look bad.
Yeah. All right. So also at 6 points we have Michael Elgin. Yeah. So Michael Elgin also has 6 points, and he's a lot of people's kind of MVP in the A block.
Is he for you?
Nah, I don't. I mean, he's definitely had a lot of great matches, but I've been more impressed, I think, with Hangman Page than I have with Michael Elgin.
Really?
Because I think
it's interesting. We haven't even talked about that.
Yeah, because I expect Michael Elgin to be at a certain level. I really didn't know what to expect from Hangman Page. I mean, Hangman has had some good matches this year in Ring of Honor and some of the stuff he's done in New Japan earlier this year. But you never know what to really... Like, there was no really high expectations of his performance in this tournament. And so, I mean, to me, he's pleasantly surprised me at how well he's been doing and how quickly he gotten over with the Japan crowd and just what a stud he is. I mean, Michael Elgin's a guy I expect Big Mike to be going out there and having bangers. So
the thing with Elgin is taking nothing away from this tournament, nowhere near his last 2 tournaments.
Yeah. Nowhere
near it. Not even close. I'm sorry. And that's not to say he's had a bad tournament. He is an MVP of the tournament. He is doing well. And you know what? He screwed up his arm.
Yeah, possibly torn bicep.
Yeah, he's got a possibly torn bicep. I don't know, man. If I was him, I almost feel like I would have possibly bowed out of the tournament if that was the case, but I don't know how they're even gonna handle that. I mean, look at the Tanahashi situation, last year. I really don't know, but even with that being the case, he is still performing at a high level. I mean, on July 30th, he had the match with Okada, which a lot of people really liked.
Yeah, I think that was the best match of that night.
Probably, but that was like one of the worst nights of the entire tournament for me.
Yeah.
I thought that was a kind of like a turning point for Okada's character, to where like you kind of started to see like a little bit of the old Okada kind of come out. But even with that, I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm kind of at this tired point in the tournament. Elgin, I expect so much more from him.
Yeah.
I don't, on the August 2nd show, he wrestled Bad Luck Fale. I don't really,
another DQ finish there.
We already talked about it, so you know what that is there. And then the other night he wrestled
Tanahashi, which was a match that he was looking forward to.
That was a match I expected a lot more from, because I think that's only the second time they've ever wrestled.
Right, it was the first time they wrestled in G1.
I really, really, really was thinking that was going to be a fantastic match, and I was just kind of underwhelmed. Like, that's the thing, Elgin. I've been waiting all tournament for Elgin to have these 2 matches, the Okada match and the
Tana match. Yeah.
Now, maybe it has something to do with his injury. Maybe it just, maybe it has to do with the rigor of being so late and deep into the tournament. So, I mean, that could definitely be a part of it. But then, you look at the B block and they're wrestling at such a high level.
Yeah. It's like a completely different level.
It's a different tournament, man.
Yeah.
It's a different thing altogether. I know we talked about like the A block and B block being far apart during the junior, during the Best Super Juniors, but it wasn't this. There wasn't this much disparity.
Right. I feel like the A and B blocks were better, kind of spread out.
More comparable.
Yeah.
More comparable. Yeah, with Elgin. And Elgin's out now too, huh?
Yeah.
I think it was the Okada match that put him out of the tournament.
Yeah.
Mathematically speaking. So he's also working with it. That's another reason why I'm like, well, if he is really injured, why don't they put in an alternate?
Right.
Possibly, or something to that nature, or give him a pass. My hat's off to the guy for sticking through with it, but I've been a little disappointed. I just have.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely seen Elgin have better matches, better G1s, compete at a higher level. And again, like I said, I don't know if it was the injury or what it was that's kind of held him back this year in the tournament, but not the same Michael Elgin that we're used to seeing.
And you know what? I think this is the story of the A block for everybody because, you know, I'm going to save us a little bit of time. I could say the same thing about Okada. I can say the same thing about Suzuki. I can say the same thing about Tanahashi.
Yeah.
Almost everybody in the A block. Like, the guys that I'm more impressed with are the guys who are exceeding my expectations, like a Hangman Page, and like Jay White to a certain degree.
Yeah.
You know? For the rest of the rest of the field, like even a guy like Evil, a lot of these guys are not delivering what I expect out of a G1.
Well, speaking of Evil, he's the next guy. He has 8 points. He's actually tied at 8 points with Minoru Suzuki.
And they're both mathematically out.
Yeah, both of these guys are also mathematically eliminated from the tournament. So at this point, they're just trying to, get some more points to kind of just increase their point total.
Yeah, so we saw Suzuki go over Evil on the July 30th show. And then we saw Evil take back-to-back losses against Tanahashi and then against Okada. So 3 of the biggest challengers that he's had, 3 losses in a row. It does kind of show you that this guy had 8 points up until that point in the tournament, was one of the point leaders, and had an outside shot at being one of the guys in consideration on the last few nights, and he's totally out. And it does show you his standing in the company when you put him against the 3 biggest guys in that block.
Yeah, and
he's upper mid.
Yeah, he's upper mid card guy. For sure that Okada was going to get that G1 win back because Evil did beat him last year in the G1.
Yeah.
So Okada had to get that win back.
What have you thought about his performances?
I feel like he's kind of been consistently good. I feel like a lot of his matches have been in that 3.5 to 3.75 range. I did really like the I think it was the Okada match.
I think the Okada match was the best match.
I really enjoyed the Okada match. I believe that match was around 4 stars for me. This back and forth drama there, the Okada hitting the everything is evil.
So Tanahashi.
Yeah.
Did you notice 2 guys stole his finisher back to back?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was interesting. I don't know why they did that, but it's interesting.
But yeah, I mean, Evil's a kind of a guy that they've kind of start and stop push at different points of the year. And honestly, I mean, I think he's been having a good tournament. I mean, he hasn't had any outstanding legendary encounters or anything, but I definitely think he was one of the better guys in the A block this year.
I'll say this with the A block, and I know that we're kind of bearing it a bit, but there have been some good things, but I can't remember watching a G1 in the past, and again, I've cherry picked it, but I can't remember even looking at ratings and seeing so many throwaway matches.
Yeah,
so many matches that were just a match, and a lot of these matches there's not even much for us to really even discuss because it's just that match happened, this guy went over 3.25, 3.5, whatever.
Yeah,
move on.
And I think for me, I think I like Evil a little bit better than you do, a little bit more than you do, and so I don't know. I think he's had good matches throughout the tournament. Nothing really the Okada match is probably going to be his highest rated match of the tournament. But
where would you in the light of him and Elgin, how would you compare those 2 guys' performances to one another
in this year's tournament?
Yeah.
I feel like Elgin still had some better matches overall than Evil did.
Mm.
And I mean, I know we kind of said that Elgin wasn't, at his top level, but he still had some, good matches, especially on some of these A block matches, A block nights where.
Not only that, but Elgin has made certain guys look better.
Yeah.
He made Yoshihashi look great. He made Hangman Page look great. He made Jay White look really, really good. Whereas with a lot of the Evil matches, he's done well in the tournament, kayfabe wise, he's performed well. But I wouldn't say anything was this is a guy who really is driven and motivated to perform at a certain level. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's almost too comfortable.
That's a great word for it. Because I mean, he's kind of over with the crowds now. He has this whole gimmick pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean,
and to a degree, it's smart, but on another level, it's like, well, where do you want to be 5 years from now?
Right. It's smart if he was at a higher level. I mean, he's not at the level where he can just coast on.
It's not only that, but you also have to think, this wrestling thing's not forever, and this Los Ingobernables thing's not going to be forever, and you have to build some equity. For you got to put some money in the bank for afterwards, and right. I'm like. When let's say LIJ breaks up, right? Mm-hmm. I think Sonata's fine. I think Takahashi's fine. I think obviously Naito's fine. I would be very questionable about Evil. Where does he go from here? He'll be like, like a Makabe, like a freelancer guy who has no home.
Right. He'll be in like opening matches, like teaming with like a young boy or something.
Yeah, and if you're comfortable with that, you're comfortable with that. But I'm like, for what we've seen from him in the past, we know he can go. And I'm like, dude, what? Just give us the goods, man. Give us the snowflakes.
That's what we're here for, man.
But so Evil is eliminated. Let's talk about the King.
Yes, Minoru Suzuki. I mean, this is a guy, point-wise, I expected to still be in the running at this point in the tournament. But
I could have seen that given the field that they had, but at the same time, Minoru Suzuki's never really done extremely well in a G1.
I know, but I think this year, I mean, he's been on another level to me this year.
You're right.
Overall, so I thought maybe that some of that momentum would flow into this tournament.
And Suzuki had that fantastic match with Tanahashi, and after that, it's kind of just been, the thing with the thing with Suzuki is he can go when he wants to go. And then he won't go when he doesn't have to go or need to go. He wrestled Evil. It was fine. He picked up the win there. Nothing egregious, but it wasn't great.
Then you wrestled Okada.
Yeah, and you know what? What were your thoughts on that? Because, again, I'll say that for me, people seem to be praising these Okada matches a lot at the end, and they're not really doing it for me. But I do recognize that part of it is because of my viewing habits and also what's preceding to it. And I'm getting to these main events not too excited because of I understand the Okada storylines that are going on, but they're not doing it for me. And then also just like the fatigue, so like I didn't like love the Okada match, and I didn't love Suzuki. Yeah, I didn't love the Okada match with Suzuki.
I mean, to me, I think I rated it around like 4 stars. It definitely wasn't as good as the draw match that they had, the match that they drawed at the
last 3 matches I've seen them have were all vastly better.
Yeah.
The draw they had at the G1 last year, the match that they had at
Suzuki, the Pirate Festival thing.
Pirate Festival, and then the title shot that he got last year at New Beginning. All of those are like, I would be like, wow, those are classic matches. This one was just, it was what it was.
Yeah, it was a good match. It was a very good match, but not to the levels that we've seen from those guys in the past. I think we kind of get spoiled sometimes about when these guys kind of have like back-to-back, great matches in their rivalries, and then
it's just with me, Suzuki's one of my favorite guys in the tournament, so I'm not gonna take too much away from him, but I will say this, when we talk about Wrestler of the Year discussions, how someone does in the G1 is a big factor, a really, really big factor. I mean, does his performance in this tournament detract, his placement in that type of discussion for you?
I don't think so. I mean,
really, for me, it kind of does. Mm-hmm. I mean, not to the point where I'd be like, hey, it undoes everything he did prior to this, but like, let's say a Goto, a guy who's done really well, and it kind of puts that little cherry on top and puts him, back up into that upper level, where with like Suzuki, I'm like, Suzuki was kind of here at this level. Everyone else that he was with was kind of at that same level, and he was right there. He's an outside guy, and then all of a sudden they kind of went past him.
Yeah.
And he kind of just stayed there. Now, we still got the rest of the year, but, the truth is, after King of Pro Wrestling, there's not a lot left.
That's true, yeah.
And so for me, it's like, I don't think like Suzuki's over here trying to necessarily work for the marks to get like Wrestler of the Year status. You know, I don't think that's his motivation or anything like that. But at the same time, like for me as a fan, I'm like, well, he's had a fantastic year, but this G1 is a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
Now I really enjoyed the Hangman match.
Yes, the Hangman Page match was really good.
Did you notice that he took the rite of passage kind of awkwardly and landed on his legs and instead of like, you know, like usually how they land between the legs, he landed on his leg. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it looked like he could have actually botched it and got hurt, maybe, possibly. I think he was fine, most likely. But yeah, it was a little awkward.
I mean, that whole match, I mean, that was like a proving ground match for Hangman. Like,
yeah, that was a
let's see how tough you are, boy.
The real man match.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, that was great. I think that he really put in like a better effort against Hangman than he did for a lot of these guys. And I think he put in an effort with with Okada. But again, none of these matches are going to be matches that I'm like, go out of your way to see him. None of these matches are going to, like when I'm talking about great matches that happen in the A block, like none of them are going to be listed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And the one match that really, honestly, the one match in A block still to this point that I'm like, wow, that was great. It's that Suzuki
and
Tanahashi match. Everything else is just on a lower level for me.
Yeah, same here, man. So next up, we have a tie at 12 points with Kazuchika Okada and Switchblade Jay White. So obviously both of these guys are still alive heading into the block finals.
So I think we'll have a discussion about scenarios, coming up in a little bit. Mm-hmm. Let's just talk about their performances so far. And obviously the last guy that we got left is Tanahashi. So I think we could probably even just go night by night and talk about all three guys, I would say.
Right, yes. And Hiroshi Tanahashi, he's leading the block with 14 points. So on July 30th, Okada took on Michael Elgin. We had Tanahashi against Yoshihashi, and then Jay White against Hangman Page. Mm-hmm. We kind of talked about the Jay White Hangman.
I actually think we've talked about all the matches at this point.
Yeah.
But like we can, and then on August 2nd, Tanahashi defeated Evil. Okada defeated Suzuki and Jay White defeated Yoshihashi. And then on August 5th, which was the last night that we're covering, Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated Michael Elgin. Jay White defeated Togi Makabe. And then Okada defeated Evil. So like I didn't even realize, we've kind of talked about all the matches so far, but let's discuss each guy and where they are for us, I guess.
So for me, Okada, I mean, he's doing this whole kind of like broken or whatever you want to call it, Okada.
Broken!
Yes! Wonderful! We got Broken Okada. He's cosplaying Vinny Marcellia from The Kingdom.
It's different because he has balloons. They're yellow and red.
Yeah. And it's been weird, man. And,
it's been really weird.
And, Okada, he's one of the guys you looked for to being the MVP of a block and to be having above 4-star matches. And we haven't gotten that Okada this year.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably make a case for Okada being the quote-unquote MVP of the A block if you wanted to, because he probably has consistently, I mean, he's been in almost every main event. He's probably consistently had, between 3.5 and 4-star matches, which is great. But this is a guy that, we considered, prior to him losing the title, the best wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
He's been the best wrestler in the world for several years now, and almost every year he's one of the top performers in the entire G1 Climax. Now, I understand that they're taking his character in a different direction, and there are probably some people who are like, do you guys not watch this? You don't get it? And I'm like, no, I get it. But with that being said, like the only thing I really see that I'm excited about for this whole entire tournament is the eventual Showbuckle video that will be coming out at some point in the future.
The downfall of Okada.
The rise and fall of Kazuchika Okada, and it's going to be freaking phenomenal to hear that guy like narrate it all.
Yeah.
But going through it is kind of tough because he's one of my favorite guys, and I'm just like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, Okada, he's like I kind of hit on this before, where he's wrestling down on purpose and then cutting promos afterwards, apologizing for putting on lesser performances.
Sorry, I know this match wasn't that good.
And like that's kind of his brilliance, but at the same time, as a fan, I don't know, man. Like I am spoiled. I want the Rainmaker. I keep saying it. It is hard for me to get into this stuff.
Yeah,
it is hard for me too. I think he, like, I'll just say it, I think he can't win this block. I don't think he can win
in this state. Yeah,
no. Maybe he does, but I feel like it would be worse storytelling. The same way how I said it would be better storytelling for him to win at Wrestle Kingdom this past year.
Yeah,
it would be terrible storytelling, I think, if he won the G1, or even won. He might win the block, but if he won the G1, which I think he's a lot of people's pick and prediction. But given everything I've seen up to this point, I haven't really made any predictions, and I'm probably ready to make some predictions on this episode today. But I will say, man, like, Okada's been somewhat of a disappointment. I mean, how can you complain when you're getting 4-star matches out of him? But then again, Rich Latta voice, ain't nobody got time for 4-star matches. Which is a ludicrous thing to say, but this is a guy who consistently puts on some of the top performances in the G1, and I'm saddened to not see that.
Yeah. Then Switchblade Jay White, I think he's done a great job getting his character over, being this kind of weaselly guy that's going to do whatever it takes to win. He's going to break and bend every rule and try and scratch and claw to get a victory. I mean, he's had some decent matches. They've been doing some also great stuff on the undercard with him and Yo. For the majority of the nights, just watching Yo get demolished, and he's also been trying to get Yo to cheat. There was one tag match where he got the pinfall, and he was like, "See, Yo, it was all because of me. See, you gotta follow me, follow my game plan, and we'll win."
Yeah.
And so a lot of interesting stuff there with him. You know, he beat Okada. This whole, is he the leader of Chaos now? But I mean, we saw when he faced the Tongans, like, he had no Chaos support.
Hey, you can say what you want about Jay White and the criticisms are fair. The ref bumps, they're fair. The outside use of the guardrails and the outside use of the chairs.
We have the low blows.
It's all valid. But dude, this is the most interesting competitor night in and night out through the entire A block. His story, his progression. Give me that any day over Broken Okada. Give me that any day over the returning Ace. I'm sorry, like, Jay White is very interesting. Now, I know that we're not here for the character work and all that, but if you're gonna do it, this is probably the best case scenario. You could do it. I'm not sitting here saying I'm in love with his tournament, but he has not had a single great performance. Probably his best match was against Okada the first night.
Yeah,
I would say. I thought that, but here's the thing. This is a guy who is going on the undercards, like you mentioned, and having compelling storylines during every single tag match that builds anticipation for his actual A-block matches. And there's a mini story every single time, and they're unique and they're interesting and they actually make sense, and it's so logical.
And like you mentioned earlier, I mean, Jay White's a guy you want to see comeuppance with, somebody get their comeuppance on him. And shout out to James Boyd from One Nation Radio. He mentioned that Jay White looked like Miles Teller, and he has a very punchable face. So yeah, Jay White's that guy. Yeah, you see him, you just want to see him get decked. So
I freaking love Miles Teller.
So yeah, me too.
I like so many of his movies. Like, yeah, he's a great actor. Yeah, man, Jay White is very, very, very interesting. I think the story of the A block has mainly revolved around him to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I thought that the stuff with him and Yoshihashi, while not necessarily great, I thought on the night before he was like, just pin me, it doesn't matter. And then and then he was like, you made me attack you. Like, that's been great, man. Yeah, like, and I'm very interested. Like, we've got friends who don't like don't like Jay White. They talked about his placement in the company, you know, like, is he higher than this guy? Is he higher than that guy? You know, what about this person a year ago? And I'm like, dude, look where he's at. They got him in the top 3 of the A block of the G1. He's got 12 points. He is important.
Yeah.
Very, very, very important to this company.
Yeah, and I could easily see him having another big match at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, and not only that, but like he's tied with Okada. He is just barely trailing Tanahashi, and we'll get into the scenarios here, but he's got the tiebreaker match over both of them.
Yeah.
Now he's going into the final night against let me see who he's facing on August 10th. Evil.
Yeah.
So, at this point for him, if he's going to continue on, he has to be Evil pretty much. Almost like it's do or die for him at this point to be Evil. But with that being said, he's right there, man.
Yeah.
And he could be he could be the A block winner.
And then man leading A block right now, Hiroshi Tanahashi. He's on that don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. The Ace has been here for years.
Which is interesting because he's like this sleeper. He's such a sleeper in this tournament because, what's been your favorite what's been your favorite Hiroshi Tanahashi match of the whole tournament?
I think I like the
probably the Suzuki match.
Yeah.
Outside of the Suzuki match, what was a really good Hiroshi Tanahashi match?
To be honest,
even 4 stars, just a 4-star match. I don't think he's had one.
Yeah.
I don't think he has, man. Which is so funny because he's leading the block, because he's beating everybody. Like, this is a guy who's just quietly collecting points. Now he's at the top of the block, and he might win this whole thing. And you're like, what? But at the same time, I wouldn't sit here and be like, you gotta see this run that Tanahashi is on.
Right.
Like, I just wouldn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now, maybe I'm being like not consistent here. Consistency. I'm not blowing him up like Elgin or Okada or Suzuki, but maybe we should be. Because Tanahashi is a guy that we know is capable of performing at the highest level, and you expect G1 Tanahashi to be up there.
Right.
And he's just winning, and that's pretty much it.
And now, I was kind of mentioning, about Evil not being in a spot where he can coast, but Tanahashi kind of is in a spot where he can coast. I mean, he's been a top star for years. He's super over, always has great matches, has a strong connection with the crowd. I mean, so it's easy for him to do fewer things and still be over and have a good performance.
That's a valid point. Another thing too, we don't always take into consideration with the G1, you typically get your best stuff the first few nights and the last few nights and everything else
in the middle. It's kind of like guys are tired, guys are hurt, they're beat up,
and we've got him and Okada coming up, and that's very interesting.
Yeah,
very, very interesting. So I mean, do you want to hold off on talking about the scenarios till we get through the B block? Or
no, let's go ahead and talk about the A block scenarios. So okay. Tanahashi, Jay White, and Okada, they're still alive heading into the block finals. Like we mentioned, Tanahashi and Okada will be facing off at Budokan Hall on August 10th. Jay White's facing Evil. So if Tanahashi beats Okada or draws with him, Tanahashi goes to the finals. For Okada to get...
Not necessarily. If Jay White has the same points as Tanahashi or Okada at the end of the tournament, then he wins.
Right, but with Tanahashi beating Okada or drawing, even if Jay White wins, he's not going to get as much points as Tanahashi.
Oh, that's right, because Tanahashi will be at 15 points, he'll be at 14?
Right.
Gotcha.
And so for Okada to get through, he has to beat Tanahashi, and Evil has to beat White. Because you mentioned White holds a tiebreaker over both of them, so he needs to beat Evil, and Okada has to beat Tanahashi for Jay White to go through. So it's very interesting that, the two guys fighting for leadership or chaos, they're really relying on each other here to get through to the finals.
Yeah, so I mean, now the more interesting thing is if Tanahashi loses, and then, you have Okada with 14 points, and Jay White also wins, then Jay White goes to the finals.
Right.
And that would create a scenario where it's like, basically Jay White being like, hey, thanks for the win, bud.
Yeah.
Thanks for the win, bud.
Thanks for getting me in, yeah.
You got me in. Go take a seat and watch me wrestle these finals.
Right.
Which is very interesting. At this point, like, now if Jay White loses or draws, then it's a much more interesting scenario. Because then you've got, like, let's say him and Evil go to a draw, right?
Right.
Now he's got 1 point. Now
he's at 13. He'll be at 13.
Mm-hmm. Now, if those guys were to hypothetically draw, he wins. You know what I mean? But if Okada wins, then Okada...
Well, no, if Okada and Tanahashi draw, Tanahashi would get 15.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So, at this point, really, like, it just comes down to basically either Tanahashi's going to win and go to the finals.
Right, so yeah. Or,
depending on the outcome of the match with Evil and Jay White, that kind of holds the fate of Okada.
Right. So I don't have the match listing, but I'm pretty sure that Okada and Tanahashi is the main event for that night, for that A Block final night.
Yeah.
So,
do you want to talk about your predictions?
So yeah, I'm predicting Tanahashi going in, man. I think Jay White will beat Evil, and then Tanahashi's going to beat Okada.
I think so too, man.
And Tanahashi's going to the finals.
Although it is, they booked this in a way that it's so well done to where any three of these guys could go to the finals, and I would not be that surprised at all. With Okada, you have this redemption story of him trying to find himself, recollect himself, fix whatever's broken after he lost the title. You have a redemption story with Tanahashi. They did the Swan Song match between him and Okada earlier this year. It's kind of like a final last hurrah. And then all of a sudden the ace is back. And here he is out of the blue. And he might be going to, the finals.
Right.
And then you got Jay White, this sniveling, conniving, cheating
weasel.
Heel. He's weaseled his way into this position, and the world is his. And any one of these guys, I really don't think Okada's going to the finals, to be honest with you. I am very torn about Jay White and Tanahashi. But Tanahashi's my pick, and I think originally your pick was what? It was Okada for a long time,
yeah,
right?
For a long time. My G1 pick'em, I had Okada for the A block, but now, to me, honestly, I think it really comes down between Tanahashi and Jay White, or the two guys that are going to go to that A block final. But I'm leaning more towards Tanahashi.
Yeah, where we stand now, looking at things, I think it's Tanahashi's. I think it makes. Now, if they put Jay White in that position, I think it would be fantastic. And, there are probably people who would groan because they're like, oh my God, they expect like a 5-star match, and maybe we won't get that out of him there. Mm-hmm. But I think with Tanahashi, the implications of him potentially going to a Wrestle Kingdom main event are like, wow, that's kind of like a staggering idea.
Especially because, we all think that he's kind of like... he's not the top guy anymore. Like, that's Okada finally beat him in their rivalry, and he's supposed to be kind of in the rear view, but here he is, like, hitting the gas pedal, coming back forward.
I think one of the reasons too that I have other reasons, and I'll get into it why I think he's going to win, but one of the biggest reasons before even divulging that is just the fact that he just wrestled Okada earlier in the year. He took that loss. They did that fantastic match, and then it was kind of like the goodbye. And now you've got a totally different Okada sitting right in front of him. And it's like, you're telling me that Okada's going to beat him again a few months later after, within the current state that he's in. I think that would be the wrong way to go.
Right. Unless
you're doing it to elevate Jay White. But I think in this scenario, Tanahashi's the way they go.
Yeah, same here, man. It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting.
So let's go to... We got 2 nights to discuss for the B block.
So, let's get on to this B block, man. where all the snowflakes are at.
So, who are we starting with in the B block? Who's
at the bottom we have Toru Yano with 2 points.
Very interesting.
And it's funny because, I was making fun of Rich because in his G1 pick'em, I think he only gave Yano like 2 or 4 points, and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, Yano has had like 8 to 10 points like every year. Like, he's gonna get a lot of upset. He's gonna like beat people, and now I look like the fool this year because
very similar to Taguchi this past year, where this was, and there's several guys like that in the tournament this year where you expect them to perform at a certain level. And, now with that being said, Toru Yano is probably having his best G1.
Yes, he's having his best performances. And I mean, because, there's the whole storyline about him wanting to wrestle clean. And so he's been using more of his amateur wrestling background, which have made his matches way more enjoyable. Like, literally, every time he hit the belly, I popped.
Yeah.
I saw it the first night, but literally, every time he hit the belly, every time he shot a single leg, hit a fireman's carry, some kind of crazy pinning combination, I popped. And that really got me into these Yano matches. And like we said, this is probably one of his best performances of the tournament. During this time period, who did he wrestle? He
wrestled Tetsuya Naito on August the 1st, and then on August the 4th, he had that legendary classic match with Sonata.
Oh my gosh, that freaking Sonata match, bro. Literally, that's like LOL moment of the year right there, man.
It's one of the funniest matches I've ever watched.
Oh my gosh. And first of all, I'm like, so Yano jump zones this man on the ramp. And then the ref starts the match, and they haven't even gotten to the ring yet. It's like, what's going on there? But then from there, like, all heck just broke loose, and Sonata's like tying this guy to guardrails, putting him in the Paradise Lock, the bit with Rocky, and like, Yano's like, Rocky, calling Rocky over to get him out the Paradise Lock, and then
he's like, Rocky, like Kevin Kelly's like, Rocky, what are you doing? Where are you going? He's like, I'm gonna help him.
Yeah.
He's like, no,
I gotta help my Chaos brother. And then Sonata puts Rocky in the Paradise Lock. It's like, Kevin, get Milano. Get Milano.
He's like, Milano has the key. He's the only one with the key. Get me out. And he's like, I can't go get Milano. He's like, he's going to put me in the Paradise Lock.
Right. Kevin, get Milano.
The funny thing was, Sonata literally put Rocky Romero in the Paradise Lock and then put the headset back on
him. Yes,
so you could hear him the whole time.
Oh my gosh,
hilarious. I really popped for the Sonata Toru Yano match. Sonata wins by countout, which was just so funny.
Yeah.
The Naito match with Toru Yano, I mean, it was short. It was what it was. I think Naito ended up winning after basically, I think Toru Yano was gonna try to kick him low, and then he ended up kicking Toru Yano low.
Yeah.
There was like some ref bump shenanigans, and it was what it was. It was nothing special, but yeah, Yano, 2 points, man. And I'm not really I'm not mad about it. I'm not.
Neither am I. Seeing the block that he's in.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if he was in A block, he would have higher points, but this B block, man, this is a tough block to be in.
Yeah. Yep. So Yano, but he's just having a really entertaining tournament. For people that complain about Yano being in the tournament, he doesn't deserve to be there, he doesn't belong there, blah blah. It's like, well, you don't want this guy getting these wins. Well, he's not getting these wins now, and it's kind of hard to kind of complain about it because he's been just fantastic. He's really, really funny.
Speaking of that, so last night I was watching Raw, and I put out a tweet about, Roman Reigns had a match with Baron Corbin, and it was a 50-50 match. And I was like, how could Roman Reigns... how does the WWE want me to believe that Roman Reigns could beat Brock Lesnar if he's having a hard time with Baron Corbin? And then shout out to Rance Morris from the Outsider's Edge kind of challenged me on that. And he was like, well, how is Toru Yano, give Kenny Omega trouble? How does Toru Yano give all these, main event guys trouble? But to me, man, with his style, it's established that he can beat anybody. And he uses these underhanded tactics to win matches and to kind of catch people off guard. What are your thoughts on that? On him, in the past beating people and him having the ability to beat world champions?
I don't know, man. I'm not like, I don't know, to be honest with you, because I'm not following that product very much. For me, I feel like the nature of the booking in WWE would lend itself to the fact that if you are trying to get Roman Reigns over, I guess, and make him look strong for an upcoming title shot against Brock, you would want him to defeat someone who's, upper mid, like Baron Corbin, I would suppose. And you'd probably want him to do it in a pretty emphatic fashion, not necessarily struggle with him. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, the matches there, they don't do a lot of, like, squash matches. So can I really criticize them? It's like, well, they're a crappy product. And that's just what they are. Like, I don't care about what they do.
Right. Okay, so let's put the WWE thing aside. Do you have a problem with Yano beating world champions and main eventers?
Yeah, to a certain degree. But, I mean, at the same time, he's beaten almost everybody at some point. But the thing is, with him, no one really, like, struggles with Yano.
That's the thing. Like, the matches they're not 50-50 matches. He might get the advantage in the beginning, and either A, his cheating's going to work and he wins, or B, his cheating backfires and he loses.
Or he rolls him up, and it's a sneaky win.
Yeah.
And he can beat anybody with a sneaky win because he's beaten everybody. So it's one of those things where it's like, he's kind of like, a 2 can't beat. A 2's not like the best card unless it's wild.
Right.
And then it can beat almost any other card. That's kind of the thing with Toru Yano. The other thing too is that it's so established with, now I'll say this, I did catch what Rance said, and he did say, well, Baron Corbin is a guy who everyone struggles with and is established, and that's fine or whatever. But I mean, I don't know. I remember John Cena kind of whooping him pretty bad. But I think in that company, you're not supposed to really remember week to week what's happened. I think that's my biggest takeaway is, like, in that company, what happens week to week really doesn't matter. They write their show on the fly. Nothing's booked out in advance, hardly ever, unless it's a Roman Reigns WrestleMania match. Like, it is what it is. Whereas in this company, the characters are so well thought out. They're so, developed that, this sort of thing can be explained and it's logical. The other thing too is Big Match Kenny ain't, have off night Kenny who wrestles Toru Yano. Right. You know what I mean? If Big Match Kenny shows up, the Kenny that was in shape and had the training camp for for Okada, he probably is gonna just smoke, Toru Yano. If Kenny Omega just went on an undefeated streak all throughout the entire G1 and then turns around and gets beat by Tomohiro Ishii and gets his lip busted and his confidence shaken and he's tired and hurt and he's working with a bad heel, and we know all this character and story development, and then he has this match with Toru Yano and maybe potentially loses. I could see that happening.
And also, he doesn't have the will to win book.
It reminds me a lot of, like, in sports. Like, I remember this, it's been so many years, man. I'm probably dating myself, but I think it was like 04, 05. The Patriots were on undefeated streak, and then they went to the Super Bowl, and I think they won the Super Bowl this year, but they wrestled the Dolphins, who had only one win for the whole season on the last week of the regular season, and they lost.
Yeah.
That stuff can happen. You know what I mean? And it's the G1. Like, that stuff happens in the G1, but, it doesn't, at the end of the day, like, take away from the fact of what he is. You know what I mean? Like, they're not trying to build Kenny Omega up, for whatever, for the next match. It's the G1. He's going to get eliminated most likely because he's a champion. So I do think it's apples to oranges, but... Yeah,
I mean, it's not a perfect comparison, and I do understand where the direction Rance was kind of come from.
I think Rance has a great point. Like, I think the fact of the matter is like, Baron Corbin is like a protected guy over there to some degree, but he is failing. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put this, what is it?
Constable Corbin.
They would have never put that on him if he didn't suck.
Yeah,
which, by the way, guys, he does suck.
My whole, I don't want to talk about it to be that much longer, but my whole point on that thing was, we know Brock is this unbeatable monster. Roman's struggled to beat him in the past. Like, I think he needs to go in that match being as strong as possible.
If Brock Lesnar was in New Japan Pro Wrestling and they were building up Kenny Omega to challenge him he wouldn't be struggling with Toriano or Baron Corbin.
Right.
That is true. They would not be doing that. If they had Kenny Omega getting ready to go up against an Okada or something like that, and Okada was still champion, they wouldn't have him struggle. Yeah. So you got to take it situation by situation, but it is apples to oranges. But at the end of the day, it is booking 101. If you want a guy to look strong,
book him strong.
Book him strong.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
All right, so that's enough of Roman Reigns. You're welcome, Vince.
I don't even know why we're talking about it because that company obviously doesn't know how to book, so it's really stupid.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that whole Yano comparison thing.
And I just want to say that company doesn't know how to book. It's that simple. That should be like one of the slogans, like we should have sound bites when the show's like opening, and I'll be like, and I'll tell you one thing, WWE freaking sucks. They don't know how to book. And F those guys.
And now Josh Smith, screw WWE.
And if you don't agree with me, you can leave the show.
Go find some other show that's afraid of their own shadow.
Like I really don't care because it is such a crappy company at this point. It's just really, really like I'm just gonna bury it. It sucks. So let's talk about good wrestling.
All right. Well, unfortunately, the next person we're talking about is Tama Tonga.
Oh God! How many points that dude have?
He has 4 points.
How? Okay, there's not really much to talk about.
I mean,
he's a disappointment.
It's pretty much in the same boat as Bad Luck Fale.
Let's just take the clip from the Bad Luck Fale rant, put it in here, and then that's it.
But I think the thing with Tama Tonga that makes it a little bit more disappointing is that he has the athletic ability to have better matches than he's having.
Okay, so I've been advocating for a long time for them to take him out of the tag team and give him a shot, and now I'm going to advocate that you just go ahead and put him right back in that tag team and leave him there. I'm done.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm done, bro.
The story of the undercard, GOD is undefeated. They have beaten every single team that they've faced on the undercard.
What do you think about Tangaloa cutting these opening match promos for these guys?
I mean,
because we've said in the past that that's kind of an indicator that they've got big plans when they do that. And Mr. ACP actually commented on our post on Reddit last week, and he had some great points where he was talking about, that the fact that these guys are not getting pinned and not getting to, they're just getting DQ'd for the most part anyways, to where they're being protected. You know what I mean? It's a form of protection. So, like, do you see them getting ready to have bigger plans for both of them going forward, especially with Tangaloa being their mouthpiece now?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see some tag stuff moving forward. Like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a tag title match coming up at the next month with GOD against the Young Bucks. I wouldn't be surprised if we also see a 6-man tag title match where you have supervillains against Firing Squad.
Which, by the way, the supervillains have not defended their title at all since they won that belt.
Yeah.
Like, at all. Which they are officially the longest title holders to have won the belt and not defended it.
Interesting point. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, maybe you get the Firing Squad winning back the Never titles, or they fail to win the Never titles, but then they win the tag titles. I definitely see them being a player in the tag team title picture going forward. As far as a singles push, I really can't. Like, he already lost to Kenny. Well, he didn't really do anything with Kenny. So, like, I really can't see them having a big match.
Why are they protecting him?
Right.
I feel like they got to be getting them ready for something if they were going to protect them this much.
Right. Well, definitely. I think the tag title match, I mean, the Young Bucks have been having an awesome year, and it's been a great, they've had a big run with the tag titles and beating LIJ twice. So I think for them beating Young Bucks, that's a big deal. So I think this push, what they're doing with them, is getting them ready for Young Bucks.
I think that one thing was when he was commenting on it, I kind of had... If you go back, any of you who are listening, if you go back and you look at the forums or, the Reddit posts, I had mentioned that I think that he is capable of more than what we're seeing. And, there was, people who kind of contradicted that, and they're going to say, they basically said, respectfully, I disagree at this point based on his match output. He can't go, and he's old at this point is what they're kind of saying. And my whole thing is this. I don't think Tama Tonga is fantastic in the ring. I don't think he's a special guy or anything. I think he's super charismatic. We've talked about his attributes, his athleticism, all that. But here's my point. A guy that got produced in the dojo, I have a very hard time believing that he doesn't have a great match in him.
Right.
Like, I just don't believe that. Somewhere down the line, this dude has to have something in him, and I thought we'd see it here. I don't think we're going to see it, and maybe we'll never see it at this point, but...
Yeah, maybe he's just a good tag team wrestler.
No, I don't even think he's a great tag team wrestler. I think he gets to get away with doing all the bull crap he does and not actually working a great match. He gets to do his athletic spots, his cool spots, be a cool heel, but, like, I don't know. It kind of reminds me, like, in a way of, like... like Scott Hall and Kevin Nash in their WCW years, like they didn't have very many great singles matches, but they'd go in those tag team matches, do their cool spots, do their thing and get out of there. And it was easy.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of that in a way.
And then, also he's been very controversial in this tournament. Is also, we've talked about all the Twitter stuff in the past, and
he keeps imitating Roman on these tours,
right?
Too.
With the Superman punch taunt, and then also this past night 14. After the match, or was it?
I can't remember which night it was. I thought it was.
Was it the
August 4th match?
Yeah.
I think it was the night that he wrestled. So he's had he wrestled Goto, and he lost via DQ on August 4th, and then on August 1st he wrestled. And that's the funny thing, bro. We haven't even talked about the matches he's had. Right. And then he wrestled Tomohiro Ishii, and he won by pinfall. It was definitely after the Goto match.
Where he went to the crowd and grabbed a fan by the throat.
Yeah, so this is something that just recently came out, and I don't know. So he went in the crowd, and it was an older gentleman, and he got in his face. I heard he choked him. I might not have been paying full attention. I didn't necessarily see that, but I did see him kind of maybe touch him or grab him.
Yeah, he definitely grabbed him by the throat.
Okay. When I saw it, I just thought, I didn't even take a second thought about it, to be honest with you, because A, there was no young boys around stopping him. Mm-hmm. And B, we see stuff like this in wrestling. It reminds me of when remember all that outrage when Kevin Steen attacked that fan at Ring of Honor when he was the champion? Yeah. And it turned out it was a plant. Mm-hmm. I was just like, there's no way that this isn't a plant. Or someone that he knew, or someone that is, you know what I mean? Like someone of that nature. But apparently it's not. Apparently the reports allegedly
are saying it's not,
is that this was just a fan who was heckling wrestlers, and that he got tired of getting heckled, and and got up in that guy's face and put his hands on his throat.
Yeah, and so apparently New Japan is taking disciplinary action against Tama Tonga for what they're calling inappropriate conduct. They released a statement on the English site this morning saying New Japan takes actions taken by wrestlers seriously in light of recent inappropriate conduct by Tama Tonga, including SNS usage. The company has decided to take disciplinary actions against said wrestlers and will issue updated guidelines to all wrestlers.
Yeah, so I wonder if it's real. That's the thing with me. Well, okay, a couple things I wonder. A, where was this when all the stuff was happening with Michael Elgin earlier this year? Seriously.
Yeah.
B, is this real? New Japan, historically speaking, is a very hush-hush company. They don't really necessarily always address stuff like this in public. And I'm wondering, was this... I just think that guy's probably a plant. Maybe I'm just being, ignorant.
Right.
But I'm like...
Here's the thing. For me, there's only really two scenarios here. It was a plant, and they're really good. They're working us. They're doing a great job working us.
This is all part of a storyline.
Or B, Tama Tonga is just really stupid to do that.
Yeah, bro. Now, there was a time where you'd see, Brody and Hansen, literally, and Abdullah the Butcher and guys like that in the late 70s, early 80s. Yeah, pretty much attack fans, pretty much is what it was like.
Yeah.
They might not touch them, but they'd get very close, and if the fans didn't get out of the way, they pretty much would attack them. We've talked about how I'm so bothered by Lance Archer spitting on fans. That really bothers me a lot. So with that being said, there's this part of me that's I don't think this is real, because it's a freaking company full of carnies, Yeah. And so I'm just we're being worked.
And you mentioned, the young boys weren't right there right away to jump over there.
Yeah, so that makes
eventually they came.
That makes me question the whole thing. Yeah. But then at the same time, it's well, is it just a way to get heel heat on Tama, or is this real?
Right.
And if it's real, then we shouldn't be talking about disciplinary actions. We should be like, get out of this company. See ya. I don't care who your dad is. I don't care what your family lineage is. You're done.
Yeah.
You're done. And that's not even like outrage about how a guy's performed in a tournament or storylines or whatever. Like, I know me as a fan, I don't want to be sitting there and have a wrestler put their hands around my throat.
Right.
We're going to have smoke if that happens.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, you might knock me out, you might kill me, whatever, but like, you touch me, we're going to fight. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
If it's real, then he needs to go. He should be fired immediately, and New Japan should be literally shamefaced. Company talks about honor and tradition and all that. Bye-bye. See ya. Which leads me to believe that this is just a work.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being stupid, but I just think it's a work, man.
Yeah, honestly,
I don't think it's real.
I don't really know where I lie on it yet, but
what do you think? What are you leaning towards? Like, what are your opinions?
I mean, honestly, I could see it going either way. I definitely could see it being a work. I mean, they made a big deal about, disciplining him on the website and making this guide for wrestling. They didn't
really say what they're going to do.
Right.
They just said, we're taking disciplinary actions. Everyone's going to get new guidelines for how to behave themselves online.
Right.
They didn't talk about him choking anybody or anything like that. And I'm like, it's probably just a work.
Right. And I know you mentioned in the past, like, New Japan's they're usually hush-hush, but now we got Harold Mai here. Like, what's he think about all this? Like, does he want to, be more public about things?
Hey, man, if you want to be a big company, you want to go international, you want to get sponsorship money, you want to get a TV deal, crap like this cannot be swept under the rug. It cannot even be tolerated on any level.
Right.
So I don't think that a smart business person could ever let this fly. I don't think it's real. That's just my opinion. I just don't. And if it is real, then this company is idiotic.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that.
Let's say it is real. How do you think they're handling it if it's real?
I mean, I'm sure they probably were like, don't ever do that again, and that was it. Like you mentioned, if
that's literally what they did, then this company is stupid.
Yeah, because like you mentioned, Haku's son, he trained in the dojo. Technically, he pretty much has a job there for life, so they probably were like, don't ever do that again. And
I don't know, man. People have done stuff before, and people have done less and got fired for less.
Yeah. So, I mean, it'll be interesting.
Now, real quick, let's just recap. Let's talk about these matches, I guess. Tama Tonga and Tomohiro Ishii. I thought that was the best Tama Tonga match.
That was one of the best Tama matches of the tournament. What I loved about this match is you had Tama just like kept cheating. You had Loa and Fale coming out. And, Ishii just kept kicking out, kept fighting back. Like, I wanted Ishii to win. I really wanted him to win.
That man kicked out of a grenade.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That man was kicking out of everything.
And the way he lost, too, with all the cheating and stuff, it was believable to where I was like, okay, give him the 2 points. I get it. It's whatever. I thought the Goto match sucked. I don't even remember much about it, to be honest with you. It really did suck.
And I gotta say, so with Chaos, all of them have faced a Tongan and gotten jumped at some point, and they don't have each other's back. What's going on there?
I don't know. I'm at the point where I'm like, I'd be fine if Chaos went away.
Yeah. I mean,
Chaos is, like, to me, the most convoluted group in all of New Japan. They're not unified. We talked about Bullet Club being ununified. Like, Chaos is almost nothing. Like, and it's fine. It doesn't, like, not every faction has to be LIJ eating at a family restaurant, taking photos together and stuff. But at the same time, it's like, what purpose does it really serve at this point?
I think for me, in my mind, like, Chaos has become more of almost like a training camp, like MMA. Like, you represent like American Top Team or whatever. You might not be like buddies with your other like people in that camp, but your guys are represented by the same camp kind of thing.
But also at the same time, it's like, it's a weird time for Chaos. There was a time where it made sense, like when it first got formed and Nakamura was there. But it's like, you got the best friends. You got Roppongi 3K. You got, Yoshihashi and
Briscoes.
They're not really part anymore, but they were at one point. They were affiliated with it. Yeah. It's just kind of, and then JY, it's just all over the place. It really, really is. And it doesn't even really feel like anything to me anymore.
Yeah.
before we move on, I want to say this. I don't like Tangaloa on the mic. I think it sucks.
The flaming Doritos. And
I just think he sucks on the mic.
Yeah.
I don't think it's helping getting them over. I saw one night where he said something in Japanese. I didn't know what it was. And the people did they're like, oh. But I mean, like, give me Taka any day. And I don't even know what Taka's saying. He's way better on the mic. Like, hey, it's cool. You're giving Tangaloa something to do, but I think it sucks. I think everything with this sucks. Like, I don't even want to have like a critical analysis or dialogue about it. I know we spent a lot of time. We're going to move on, but I'm just going to say it. I think that the firing squad sucks. They ruined all the like equity they had with me. And I don't even want to watch them wrestle anymore. I don't care.
Ooh, hot takes, man.
I just don't forget. I mean, I don't care.
You don't want to see them against the Young Bucks?
No. They're building them up for a tag run, and I could care less. I didn't care when they were doing well before. Now I really don't care.
Oh, man.
I was always like, yeah, break out Tamatonga. This guy needs to break out. F Tamatonga. You know what? That whole FM thing, that's just reserved for them.
Yeah.
They're like one of the worst things in New Japan right now.
Yeah. So let's move on to bigger and better things. Also with 4 points, the IWGP US champion, Juice Robinson. So yes, he only has 4 points, but this guy has had a great tournament. He's had some great matches this whole tournament, and he's definitely been a standout for me. Big Juice Robinson fan. Definitely a guy that's going to be a top star in the future. It was kind of disappointing him being a champion and taking so many L's in the tournament.
Yeah, well, he picked up a very big win against Sonata, which was great. We talked about how the storyline has been his hand, and then we finally saw that the bone is healed, but he's supposed to still be protecting it. I loved the part in this match where he decided to just say screw it, and he took off
took the cast off.
And what is it, the left hand?
Yeah.
He threw the big left hand, the haymaker. That was great. He picked up one against Sonata, and I think that that's a great way to kind of bring his character back and kind of protect it and show that, hey, at 100% this guy can go with anybody else, and it kind of fixes some of the problems with the G1 run that he's had.
Yeah. And then he faced Sabre.
Zack Sabre ended up putting him in one of the nastiest submission holds.
Dude, what was that thing, man? He had him like his leg like figure forward, his arms like trapped underneath the legs, and then he's like hyper extending his knee.
Believe it or not, I've seen something just like that in MMA before, where a variation of that, where basically the guy was stomach down, right? He's stomach down, and someone was on his back, and they wrapped up one leg, and then they pushed the other leg out, so like almost like a splitting position, and then pulled it up towards his chest, and then like almost like a banana split, but like in reverse, which is essentially very similar to what Zack Sabre did here, where he put him in a figure four position and then pulled the leg towards his chest, like over his head. Very, 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 very nasty.
Yeah, Sabre was like the worst guy for Juice to get at this point in the tournament, with his hand like still being hurt. Like Sabre worked over that hand throughout the match and was catching him in submission hole after submission hole.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Do you feel like after this is over that we just move on and kind of forget how badly Juice did in this tournament, or how are they going to handle it? Or is it just going to be like he's going to have to reprove himself? Because I'm like, they might even want to just take the belt off this dude, you know?
For me, I think it's that scenario I described, I believe it was last week's show, where he's taken all these L's, and Sabre clearly picked the belt up after the match. So it's pretty much clear that Sabre's going to be challenging for the U.S. title. But he's lost to a lot of guys who can challenge for the title. How I would book it...
A lot of them don't want the belt, though.
Right. But how I would book it is, like I mentioned last week, is you have all these U.S. title matches, and it's like, oh... well, he lost to this guy in the G1. He's definitely going to lose in this title match. And then you have Juice be the underdog champion that wins. Like, he ends up winning a couple title matches. And it kind of rebuilds himself that way.
That makes sense.
So, I mean, for the Juice Sabre title match, I would have him beat Sabre. Like, I would have to, call back to a lot of these spots. I would have Sabre still attack the arm, but then eventually I would have Juice find a way to get the win and retain the title.
Not me. I'd have Zach go in there and just freaking mop him. break both of his hands, retire him from pro wrestling forever. Then Zack goes to America and goes on a tour city from city to city, taking on open challenges from local jabroni pro wrestlers, putting New Japan on the map, and then basically announcing himself to be the true world champion, the only real world champion of New Japan Pro Wrestling, basically claiming that the IWGP title isn't even a world championship and that he's gone around the world with the red belt. And he's the best wrestler in the world. He comes back in, wins the IWGP title, gets rid of it, denounces it entirely, and then the lineage starts with Kenny Omega, and that's the new world champion. No, I'm just playing. We don't do any of that. No, actually, I like your opinion way, way, way better. I think Juice is probably going to beat Zack. I actually, for some reason, didn't pick up on the fact that he held up the title afterwards.
Yeah,
but that's cool. What if like Zack and Minoru Suzuki are like the U.S. and the British champions at the same time, and then like they like I don't know, have like a really cool like the British U.S. connection.
That would be pretty cool.
But I don't know. I don't have much more to say about that.
Yeah. So let's move on to Tomohiro Ishii and Hiroki Goto. Both these guys are tied at 6 points. As we start on top of the show, Ishii is our Wrestler of the Month for July. He's our MVP of the B block of this whole tournament. And this guy just had more great matches.
I think if he would have beat Tama Tonga, that would have been a match that, with that win, it probably would have kept him very close to the standings, but it pretty much eliminated him. Same thing with Sonata. The Juice win also, we didn't discuss that, but that knocked Sonata out of the running as well.
Yeah.
Which was that was a big upset and was pretty significant. But, Ishii wrestled Tama Tonga. That's probably his worst match. That and the Yano match are his two lowest matches of the tournament, which you kind of expect from those two guys specifically.
And then he had one of his best matches against Kenny Omega. Yeah. If you have not seen this match, I don't know what you're doing. You need to watch this match immediately. Like, honestly, this is my favorite match of the whole tournament. This is my favorite Ishii match. I'm 5 stars on it. I freaking love this match. This was an epic war, a battle. The blood from both of their mouth increased the drama and the intensity of the match. And, oh man, this match was just blew my mind.
Yeah, so I'm right there with you, man. I thought that this was the standout match we've had so far in the month of August. I'm not 5 stars on it myself, but I'm very close. And I mean, 4 3/4. I think it's one of the top matches of the entire tournament so far. I think that the way they booked it, the story, the atmosphere, the lead up to it, it was so incredible. Mm-hmm. I do have a couple things with it. One, I don't know if Tomohiro Ishii should have been the guy to get this win. Versus, because earlier and we'll get to it, but Kenny Omega had a match against Zack Sabre, and I was so sure that Zack Sabre Jr.
Dude, so was I. I said it on the podcast last week. I'm like, oh yeah, Sabre's definitely beating Okada. He's gonna get a title match at King of Pro Wrestling.
And then with Kenny going over in that match, it really just seemed like, okay, he's got 2 matches left. One with Toru Yano, one with
Ibushi.
No, Ishii. We're talking about before the finals.
Yeah.
And in order for there to be any intrigue at all, he can't go into the finals undefeated at this point with the way that the tournament's set up. So, that being said, someone's got to beat him, and Zack couldn't get it done. So, it had to be Ishii. Like, you pretty much were at the point where you're like, it had to be Ishii. So, not in a vacuum, but just in general, that part of it, like, I kind of knew it had to be Ishii. Now, actually watching the match, you're like, it might be Yano. It might be Yano because of how crazy that match was. And it took you on, in a vacuum, it's one of the best told stories of the entire tournament. It took you on an emotional ride. I do like that I don't know if you saw this, the New Japan Pro Wrestling, the English Facebook page, they were calling Tomohiro Ishii the Japanese Best Bout Machine.
Yeah.
They were marketing this as Japanese Best Bout Machine versus the Best Bout Machine. I was like, heck yeah. My dog Tomohiro Ishii, who also, by the way, was on the cover of Weekly Pro Wrestling this past week, which I don't think he ever has been before.
Yeah, dude, this guy, man, Ishii, man, just keeps bringing it up to another level. And that match with Omega, man, was just simply amazing.
And he got the win.
Yeah.
Tomohiro Ishii beat Kenny Omega, who's undefeated in this tournament.
And this was in Osaka.
Yeah.
And last year in Osaka, just where Juice got the upset on Kenny. So once again, Osaka ends up being a bad city for Kenny. And another upset, another Shaka in Osaka.
Yeah, I with that being said, I just I loved this match. It was really crazy. Like, I think Kenny Omega and Ishii just have a special type of chemistry. They had that trilogy last year where like their New Japan Cup match, the match after the New Japan Cup, and then the match in the G1 in USA.
Yeah.
This is just another in the long list of fantastic matches they've had. I've heard a lot of people say it's the best match they've ever had. I might not argue with that. I don't know if I fully agree with it, but I mean, there's probably a strong case to be made for that. The idea that Tomohiro Ishii was going to go against this unstoppable, streaking legend who, is undefeated in the tournament, the IWGP champion, and he has to put a halt to him to basically spoil his, because if he won this, it pretty much guarantees him the whole block almost, basically, at that point. And it was just fantastic. And Ishii stood in there. I felt bad for Kenny Omega. I felt bad, and not from a kayfabe sense, from like a literal, actual, real world sense. I mean, did you see his mouth?
Yeah, man.
It looked like his lip got split in half.
Yeah.
It was hanging.
He was like dripping blood.
It was hanging.
Yeah.
It was disgusting.
Crap, I was just going to make a point and I forgot.
Bumbling.
Yeah, I'm bumbling out here.
But with that being said, this match was freaking phenomenal. I was like jumping around. I was marking like so hard.
Yeah.
One of the best matches of the entire tournament by far.
Yeah, this is a must see. Go out of your way and watch this match.
And in a way, it kind of makes Ishii, because I gotta imagine he's getting a title shot off this.
Thank you. That's what I was wanted to ask you. Like, do you think that we're getting an Ishii Omega title match? I
would imagine so. I mean, he's got to defend the belt at King of Pro Wrestling, and who's he going to wrestle?
Right. Do you think we'll get a title shot at Fighting Spirit Unleashed?
Maybe not. I don't know. It's at the Walter Pyramid. It's hard to say. I mean, it's really close to King of Pro Wrestling. So maybe not, though.
Yeah.
If we did, I mean, I don't know. I kind of thought they were going to set it up for Tama Tonga, and now I'm like, they better not do that.
Yeah, please don't.
But yeah, I mean, Ishii puts himself in line for a title shot. The same title shot we kind of thought he was going to get a couple years ago against Okada, which he never ended up getting.
Yeah.
And this match felt very, very special. We've talked about Ishii going so hard in this tournament, a guy who's never going to win. And, but I feel like he's literally been elevated a whole rung up in the company based off this match.
Yeah.
And based off this tournament.
Dude, I want this man to get like another like an IC run or a never run.
I'm ready for him to be up there as one of the guys that when you we are like the fans who are in the know, they already know. But I'm ready for them to start treating him like the star that he is.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it, man. And like, he's earned it. He's put in almost more hard work than anybody else in the whole company. Like, and we're not anyone who's a fan of this company is right there with us. We're not saying anything that anyone doesn't know. This isn't revolutionary stuff. Like, Tomohiro Ishii is maybe the greatest wrestler in the world, and he has been for years.
Yeah.
As Rich and James like to call him, the best bad body worker in the company. I mean, the guy's small. The guy's got no neck. Like, he doesn't have a physique, and he's so believable and so incredible. Like, this was awesome. Him and Kenny Omega, like, I'll watch it all day.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, his Chaos brother Hiroki Goto also has 6. Who did Goto face these nights?
We already talked about the Tama Tonga match on August 4th. Not much to talk there. He did have a match against Kota Ibushi on August the 1st. It was fine. I mean, it was a good match. It was probably like close to 4 stars, I would assume. But I don't know. I don't have much to talk about there except for, he lost to Kota Ibushi and he's out of the running basically at this point.
I was expecting that match to be a little bit better than it was based off the banger that both of them had with Ishii and just with the role that Ibushi has been on.
Do you think that I'm underrating Goto this year?
I don't think so.
Because, I've talked many times this year about how I feel like he's not having the greatest year and how he is not living up to his potential. Mm-hmm. But then, I listen to other, podcasters, I listen to other analysts, and people are like, oh, this guy's having a sleeper year and he's, putting out great match after great match after great match. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, I guess over the course of time, over a long course of time, that's probably true. It's probably more concentrated here in this G1 because he has had a good G1. But I feel like I don't think I would consider Goto.
I mean, what has he really done this year? I mean, he had the Suzuki match at Wrestle Kingdom, and then there was
he had a great match with Sonata.
Yeah.
I just remember the misses for some reason. I remember him and Evil having a bad match. I remember him having a bad match with
Beer City Bruiser.
I remember his title run not really being that. Who else has he defended against this year?
He lost the Triple Threat.
Yeah, he had a good match with Elgin. He had a good match with Elgin, and then he's had the bangers this year with Kenny Omega, and then Ishii.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't sit here and say this was a terrible year for him, and maybe in a way he's kind of starting to redeem himself. But prior to the G1, a lot of people were talking about how good of a year he's having. And I'm sitting here being like, Goto's had much better years than this year.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But Goto is the never champion, right in the middle of the road. I think that his points total in this tournament kind of indicate that. I don't really have much more to say except for, he's having a good tournament. And that's about it.
Yeah. So moving on, we have 2 guys with 8 points. We have the Cold Skull Sonata and the Pro Wrestling Master Zack Sabre Jr. We'll start with Sonata. So we talked about the Yano match.
We discussed both matches. So the Juice match and the Yano match. I guess my final thoughts on Sonata is that Sonata has had some very, very good matches with Zack Sabre Jr., with Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi. I thought this Juice match was great. I think this has been a very good tournament for him.
Yes.
In years past, he's had high highs and then low lows, and in this tournament, I would put him probably on the same level as like Okada.
Yeah.
In terms of like match quality, except for you expect maybe a little less from Sonata and more from Okada. And so I almost give the edge to Sonata in having a better tournament. Plus he's had a more varied type of style match. Plus that Toru Yano match was so entertaining. If he'd been in the A block, maybe he would have had more points or been closer to the final point totals,
Yeah.
But I mean, Sonata's been great. This has been a great tournament for him where I've criticized a guy like Evil for being comfortable. Sonata's a guy who's like going for the gold every single night.
Reaching that brass ring, pal.
He got the big win over Ibushi.
Yeah, that was a huge win in his hometown. Sonata's doing great things in this G1. Then ZSJ also with 8 points.
Oof. I love Zack Sabre, man.
We talked about the Juice match. And who else did he wrestle?
Kenny Omega.
Kenny. Yeah. Dude, I was so surprised when he lost to Kenny.
That Kenny match was excellent, okay? Very excellent. And I loved the story that they told. For me, I think they've got a better match in them. And I was questioning before the match even happened whether they would be a good fit, stylistically. I don't know. But they ended up being great together.
Oh yeah, I love the match, and it was hilarious because we know that Rich is not down with Sabre, and he said to me before the match, he was like, "Man, Zack Sabre better not be out here pulling down V triggers out of the air," and that's exactly what happened. Sabre was like catching V triggers in midair, putting in submission holds, like reversing all of Kenny's cool moves into submissions, and I kind of like laughed to myself every time that happened. I'm like, oh, Rich is gonna hate this match.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it to someone who wasn't a fan of Zack Sabre Jr. I think that it's a lead-in match. Maybe I'm being like foolish here, but I think that they're gonna have another match at some point down the line. And this is a great way to build up to that match because Zack Sabre had Kenny's number the whole night. Kenny Omega wasn't able to do much with him. Kenny basically was able to just use his wrestling acumen and his great timing, and he got the flash pinfall victory, and he survived Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He survived him. And so Zack looked very strong in that match, and I could see them being able to tell an even better story the next time they do wrestle, when they have more time and they have a more epic tale to tell. And Kenny Omega's had time to prepare for, an opponent and performer like Zack. So I loved it. I think Zack, while he might not have the highest of high level matches that everyone else in this tournament has had, like, he's had one of the most entertaining and varied tournaments of anybody in the B block.
Yeah, I mean, he's been pretty solid.
I would say more than solid. I would give him like a B-.
Yeah. And him and Sonata, even with 8 points, they are out of the running. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're mathematically eliminated.
Yeah, that Kenny match killed him.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a big loss. He needed that win. That would have given him a future title shot, kept him in the running, and it killed him.
Yeah, so let's move on to the top 3 guys in the block who are all eligible to win the block. So we have Tetsuya Naito and Kota Ibushi tied with 10 points. And then leading the block still is Kenny Omega with 12 points.
Yeah, so we've talked about Ibushi and Goto on the first night, and also Naito and Toru Yano, Kenny Omega and Zack Sabre Jr. We've discussed all that. We've also talked about Kenny's match with Ishii on the B block night. What we have not discussed so far is the main event of August 4th B block, which was Kota Ibushi and Tetsuya Naito, which is a big match.
Yes.
Very important for the outcome of this tournament.
Yes, that was another match that I really enjoyed. There were a lot of crazy spots of dudes getting dropped on their heads. And I know I probably shouldn't enjoy that, but I mean, it made the match even that more intense, that more dangerous. And yeah, I was really into this match, man. Ibushi brought back that the German move, where he goes on the middle rope and does the deadlift German into the ring. Mm-hmm. Oh man, I love that. And Naito freaking just like accordioning himself right into that thing. He had like Ibushi did like this kind of like reverse like brainbuster looking move. But yeah, man, it was just a great matchup.
Yeah, they had a lot of callbacks to their matches previously. I will say that I love 90s All Japan, but like I think we've kind of passed that point where we've learned that it doesn't work out for you in the end when you drop guys on their heads like that. Right. It just doesn't. Like, look at Mitsuharu Misawa. Okay, dude died in the ring. Look at the health of the rest of them, Kawada and Kenta Kobashi and Taui, and they had long, prolonged careers. But look at the quality of life that they're having right now. Dr. Death C. Williams and all that, you know what I mean? So it is something where I'm like, these guys nowadays, like, they're people who are like, well, they're wrestlers and they know what they're getting into. We shouldn't criticize them. And I'm like, dude, like, there's only so many head drops you can take.
Right.
And you can only protect yourself so much. So I thought, to a certain extent, this was like one of the most dangerous matches of the whole tournament.
Yeah, it was.
Easily,
yeah.
For instance, I think Dave Meltzer gave Ibushi and
Ishii.
No, Ishii and was it Ishii and Ibushi gave it like 4.75?
Yeah.
He said it was too violent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this was more dangerous than anything else in the tournament. And both of these guys got their mouths busted open too.
Yeah.
I'm glad nobody got pile drived off the second rope this time.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like last year.
They went for that spot, but Ibushi landed on his feet.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah.
But it was a fantastic. I mean, it was a banger. It was a banger. It was one of the best matches of the tournament. So I mean, you can't take anything away from it. But I'm like, dude, Ibushi and Naito, these are two guys who like don't need to make their name anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not like those. They're not like TLC 2001 guys that like are trying to become legends. Like, you guys are there. What is the point of doing these head drop spots? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think about, like, for instance, Omega and Okada, the first match with the Dragon Suplex spot.
Oh my god, yeah.
And then, they've got at least two other matches that many people regard as being better with less dangerous spots. Not to say that there wasn't dangerous spots, but I'm like, you can have great matches without, necessarily taking those types of bumps. It's almost, there's no point. It's gratuitous at this point.
Right, yeah.
But with that being said, Ibushi ends up beating Naito. How about Naito has lost to both Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi?
Yeah, he's lost to the Golden Lovers.
So we are looking forward, and we'll talk about scenarios here in a second, but we've got one more B-Block night coming up on August 8th. Juice Robinson will be taking on Tomohiro Ishii. Goto will be taking on Zack Sabre Jr. Toru Yano will be taking on Kenny Omega. Kota Ibushi will be taking on Tama Tonga. And Naito will be taking on Sonata. The three matches that I think you really got to look at there are Tonga and Ibushi, Yano and Omega, and then Naito and Sonata. And Naito has to beat Sonata to have any kind of chance of still being in the runnings when this is all said and done. And then during the B-Block finals, he has Zack Sabre Jr., whereas obviously we know Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi are going to be wrestling each other in the B-Block finals. So that really paints a picture where it's like, okay, Naito's got to win both of these matches to even have a chance to win the block.
Right, and I think the most likely situation will probably get Omega. The Omega Ibushi match is probably going to determine what the block winner is. Like you mentioned, I mean, Naito does still have a chance. I mean, Omega needs to lose to Yano, and then Omega and Ibushi would need to go to a draw.
If Omega lost the next match and then Ibushi and Naito both win their matches, they'll all be tied at 12.
Yeah,
which creates a very interesting scenario.
Yeah.
That being said, if Omega wins the next match and then Ibushi also wins the next two matches, then that creates a tiebreaker situation between them. So, do you think Omega has to lose to Yano next?
I think he does. I think you made a great point earlier about he's like the battle-worn champion now. His confidence is kind of broken, and Yano could easily take advantage of that and get a victory here. For Ibushi, he could lose to Tama Tonga, but in that situation, he would need Omega to lose to Yano, and then he would have to beat Omega. And he would also need to hope that Naito doesn't win both of his matches.
Yeah, it's interesting how the way they booked this, Naito as well as Jay White are the guys that are on the outside, whereas Tanahashi and Okada and Omega and Ibushi are wrestling each other the final two nights in Budokan. Mm-hmm. And Naito and Jay White's fates are basically determined on what's going to happen between those matches. Now, how can Naito win?
So for Naito to win, he has to beat. So he has Sabre.
If he wins the next two matches and then they wrestle to a draw, then he would win the block.
Yeah.
But I think because he has lost to both of those guys, it's a very outside chance. At the same time, because it's such a protected match, right, I wouldn't be surprised if Omega and Ibushi wrestled to a draw.
Right. So if he won his next two matches, that would put him to 14. And then if Omega and Ibushi lose and then draw, that would put them at 13.
Very, very interesting. Now, I think we both agree that, we have scenarios going into the finals where you got three guys in the A block. You got Tanahashi, Okada, and Jay White, and then you've got three guys in the B block. Omega, Naito, and Ibushi. What do you realistically see as being the final?
To me, I think the final is going to be Tanahashi and Ibushi. There's a lot of backstory with Tanahashi and Ibushi. We've always heard Tanahashi saying that Ibushi could be like the face of New Japan if he would just sign a full-time contract and kind of stick around. And we've had that rivalry last year over the Intercontinental title where, Ibushi beat Tanahashi in the G1 and got a title shot. I think it was at Power Struggle.
Yeah.
So I could see that running that back and having Tanahashi and Ibushi.
I think for me, the two least likely guys to go to the finals at this point are going to be Omega and Okada.
Yeah.
From each block respectively. So I think you could do a Jay White versus Naito. do like the two outside guys who no one expected to both get shocked into it, or one or the other. As well, I could see Tanahashi's had matches in the past with both Ibushi and Naito, and the one match that we've never really had Jay White against either of these guys. So that would be like if Jay White ends up in the finals, it's a fresh matchup. Whereas with Tanahashi, you're not throwing away a match because you've already done these matches in the past, which kind of makes, based on New Japan booking style, that makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. But they could do something fresh and put Jay White in there. They really could. And I mean, what better two opponents to put Jay White in there in a final scenario than Ibushi and Naito?
Yeah. And, I think with Naito, if he were to get to the finals and win the tournament, I find a hard time seeing them doing Naito and Omega in the Dome. It's because they already did it in the G1. They usually don't run back G1 matches as Dome main events.
Yeah, I think like a few weeks, or even like earlier last week, I think I told you, I was like, dude, I think they're going Tanahashi. And you were like, I don't know about that. And I was like, bro, just think about it. Like, what is the most protected match? Because let's assume Kenny Omega will be the champion by January. Who is Kenny Omega going to wrestle that he has never wrestled that's a protect? Because like you said, at Wrestle Kingdom, they typically do not do matches that they've done in the prior calendar year. It's very rare. They just pretty much don't do it. Mm-hmm. He's already wrestled Naito in this block this year. He's gonna wrestle Ibushi. He already wrestled Okada. He already wrestled Jay White. But this Tanahashi match, they've only had one match together ever, and it was a great match. But it was at the beginning. It was 2 years ago, and it was at the beginning of his singles run. Speaking of Omega, and they protected it for like 2 years now. And I'm like, dude, I think that's a match that would draw really well in the Japanese market, and also it's protected.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think Hiroshi Tanahashi's winning the G1. Which, like, when we were first talking about this, that was not even a theory.
Yeah, we didn't even really think about Tana.
I did not even think he had an outside chance. I thought he'd be in the runnings at the end, but now I'm like, dude, Tanahashi's going to headline the Tokyo Dome again. The ace is back.
Yeah, man.
Now, we might look really stupid when it ends up being Jay White. And here's the other thing. With Ibushi, because of the backstory and the hype, you could potentially do Ibushi and Kenny Omega back to back. Do it in the G1 and then do it at Wrestle Kingdom, and there's a lot of time that will pass. So that's the one match where I'm like, they could do that again,
Yeah.
Because of how big of a match it is. But I think it's going to be Tanahashi and Omega, bro. I really do.
I think that's exactly what it's going to be.
Now, here's another thing we haven't really considered, and it is an interesting thought. What if Kenny Omega loses the belt between now and Wrestle Kingdom? Then it throws some of our predictions off entirely.
In that case, a Naito could win, and then you could have Naito versus whoever beats
exactly. Like
Omega.
If Naito were to win this and then they take the belt off Kenny, that would make sense to me. Although they're not really one to hot potato the IWGP title around that much, you know what I mean? I don't think this run is going to be like Naito's run from 2 years ago where he just held it for one title defense. I don't see that for Kenny. I just don't. Unless Kenny's not resigning. If he's leaving and they need to, create some insurance for themselves, maybe they do take the belt off Kenny. Mm-hmm. Maybe they do what I had been predicting earlier in the year. They end up running Kenny and Kota Ibushi at the Tokyo Dome to blow off their story, and Kenny goes off in the sunset. And he makes Kota Ibushi in the Tokyo Dome. I could see that happening. But for right now, I think that my prediction is Kota Ibushi against Tanahashi in the Tokyo Dome, which I think would be in Budokan Hall on the final night in the finals of the G1.
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you.
And Hiroshi Tanahashi is going to become a 3-time champion. Three-time G1 winner.
Go Ace.
Is that crazy sounding?
It is.
That sounds so I'm almost like part of me is like, this doesn't seem like it should be happening, or that's what will. But then when you start looking at the booking of it all, it's like that's the thing that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Before we move on, let's just talk about, like, dude, these point totals are so different from almost any other year. Usually you end up with like a bunch of guys with like 8 and 10 points, and like, you know, it takes 10 or 12 points to get to the finals. And then you've got, look how top heavy these blocks are. And then you got guys like Toriano and Yoshihashi at the very, very bare bottom. Like, they didn't book this at all like they have been booking the last 5 or 6 G1s.
Right. I mean, a lot of guys who are used to getting a certain point average have been far below that. I mean, Evo got 12 last year. Fale got 12 last year. Makabe usually gets 8 points.
This is why I didn't do a pick'em this year, bro. This is specifically why. Remember I said I don't feel confident about anything about this G1.
Yeah.
Things just feel too weird. It doesn't feel like a normal G1 to me. I don't think I could go by like the history. Like, I was just like, I can't predict this crap. And anyone who's like doing well in those pick'ems, like, God bless you, because I don't even know how you would be able to. This is so off the wall.
Yeah.
It does remind me of like the early like world tag, like not world tag leagues, like world's strongest, like the MSG league or whatever, like the precursors to the G1s. That's kind of how they used to book them back in the day. They've gotten away from that. Everything's been like everyone's been kind of equal and moderate, kind of like what we see in the
super. That's
the Super Juniors.
Yeah.
But they went a different way this year, and they're like, hey, these guys are at the top. They're at the top. You know, Togi Makabe, Yoshihashi, Juice Robinson, Toriano, Tamatanga, Balak Fale, you guys are at the bottom. And then you got mid cards. It really does show you like where they see these guys in the scope of the hierarchy when it comes to New Japan.
Yeah, definitely.
Very interesting. Before we go, let's just take a look. So, anything that you're really, really looking forward to on these last 2 nights?
So on the last A block night, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to Tanahashi and Okada. That should be some magic right there.
That's really the only match on that entire card I'm looking forward to. I think Jay White and Evil will be very interesting because of the implications. Mm-hmm. But as far as a match, I'm not excited. The only match I'm excited is Tanahashi and Okada, because I'm like, okay, I don't care how bad Okada is going to be wrestling or whatever, and you know how mediocre Tanahashi's been. It's the ace versus the ace. Mm-hmm. It's going to be 5 stars. Period. You know, it's going to be 4.5 or better. It's going to be fantastic. I think on B block, though, there's some really, really good looking stuff there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Naito Sabre is going to be good. Omega Ibushi, obviously, that's going to tear the house down. Those guys are going to... Somebody's going to die in that match.
That might be match of the tournament.
Yeah.
Juice and Hiroki Goto.
That could be good.
Ishii and Sonata.
Yes.
Woo. And it just shows you, again, how lopsided B block is to A block.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts, man. Overall, I think it's been a great G1 tournament. B block has been holding it down.
You know what's interesting though? It hasn't, in a way, it hasn't been as good as previous G1s.
Right.
Like, and it's not just like, oh, the A block sucks, or oh, the firing squad. Like, this has been there've been like these really, really high highs and then these really, really low lows, kind of like how the booking is. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, in years past, it's like it'd be like banger after banger after banger after banger. And there's been almost no nights, really, where it's been too much like that. Some with the B block, but it's like the B block will put out, oh, here's a 5-star match here. Here's a 5-star match here. Here's one this night. And, like, almost every B block is producing high-end matches. But overall, man, I can't remember too many, like, G1s where there's been so many 3-star and 2-star and 3.5-star just throwaway matches.
Yeah.
So I mean, from that respect, it's been like been top heavy and then bottom heavy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff. I didn't expect that this year.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Ghetto changed some things up this year, but overall, I've enjoyed the tournament. It's been good stuff.
So we want to get into some news real quick.
Before we get into news, do we want to talk about the Cuban Civic Center real quick?
Yeah, we can. So we went out to this show on Friday night. Really, man, you tell it.
this was kind of like a random show. Actually, a dude that went to my high school who's became a wrestler apparently holds this fundraising event every year where they raised money for kids, buy tickets for kids to go to SummerSlam. So yeah, he booked this show and he was in the main event of this show, and it was one of the weirdest wrestling shows I've ever been to. Not because of like the matches or the content of the show, but because of the crowd that was there. So this was a fundraiser. So you had like companies that were like buying tables. You had like all these company people. You had like friends and families of wrestlers who were wrestling on the show. And plus they were giving away free beer the whole night. So you had, people getting drunk, and so it was just, a weird crowd. I mean, me, you, and Rich were like the only wrestling fans there. I mean, there were a few others, but for the most part, we were like the only wrestling fans there. But we saw Haku wrestle against Gangrel.
We also saw we won't say any names, but there are actually some New Japan stars that were there, believe it or not, at our little local indies show. For undisclosed reasons, like we might be recording with some of them in the future. We'll let you guys know more about it once we're at liberty to kind of discuss it, but that was really cool.
Right.
And then, all the boys were there, all the local wrestlers.
Oh, yeah, all our Tampa Bay boys were there. Dax, Joey Osborne, Blanco Loco, all these guys.
Dirty Blondes.
Yeah, Dirty Blondes. David Mercury, Big Daddy. I mean, like all these, Tampa Bay guys that we've become friends with. I mean, we were kind of like chilling with them. I felt like we were kind of like part of the boys, They were. I
don't know, man. I was in a different state of mind. I was kind of like missing out on some stuff. Yeah. But it was a really fun night, but it was weird.
And we got to help them rib PSG.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about that on the air?
Oh my gosh. All I'll say is this, because I know we got to get into the news, is that, PSG, we talked about him on Social Suplex Radio with Captain Nova.
Shout out to PSG.
Shout out to PSG. Actually, small story, I had like a business call with him yesterday, which was pretty funny. But
did they mention that you guys knew each other?
Yeah, they did. And on the call, I was like, "What's up, PSG?"
What did he say?
And he was like, "Oh, what's up, Jeremy? Good to talk to you." Oh my gosh! But
yeah, he actually it was funny. He came up to us after the show and he was like, he had some words with us because we kind of buried that man a little bit on our podcast.
Yeah.
But I never knew that. Like, I was I didn't know he knew who we were, and I was like, "You know who we are?" He's like, "Yeah, man." I was like, "You listen to our podcast?" He's like, "Of course I did."
It kept me up for 5 nights afterwards.
Bro, I forgot he said that. Oh man.
It's like, what do I have to do to earn you guys respect?
I've tried telling that story to people, but they're like, "Well, what did he say?" And I'm like, "I don't remember." They're like, "What did you say?" I'm like, I don't remember.
Oh my god,
it's kind of a crazy night.
Dude, but you know what? That was actually like one of the best like wrestle events that I've been to, like experience wise.
Yeah, it was interesting. Very interesting night.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, let's jump into the news here.
So don't have everything as categorized as normal, so I'm just gonna kind of run through some of this. So last week, Zeus of All Japan Pro Wrestling fame beat their ace Kento Miyahara and lifted the All Japan Pro Wrestling Triple Crown title, which was something that we probably should have covered on last week's show, but I kind of overlooked it. But very, very, very significant title reign. Or a title win, I should say, for fans of that promotion. It's like a seminal moment. They've been building to this for like years and years. So, I mean, very, very big deal. I've heard nothing but good things about the match. So if you get a chance, you probably want to check that out. Also, Owen Hart was just officially inducted into the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. I think it's the one with Luthez and those guys, not the WWE Hall of Fame. So, but that's great to see Owen Hart getting that recognition. Former IWGP, junior heavyweight champion, trailblazer in the sport of pro wrestling. Everybody knows, the story of Owen Hart, so that's awesome. Another interesting outside story. So WWE reportedly offered over $1 million to Tommy Dreamer to allegedly close the House of Hardcore, which I thought was very, very interesting that this company is out here trying to even just shut down any semblance of, competition.
Yeah.
So, if you get a chance, read up on that. We'll be covering this later, but the World Tag League dates have now been dropped. So we know that the different dates that for when the World Tag League will be coming out, we'll do some more coverage on it. But they have expanded the number of teams to 20 teams this year, and they're doing, I believe, 17 shows this year. So more teams, more shows. I wonder if we're going to get more coverage the way we did with the New Japan Cup this year, or the G1. We'll see. I'm probably going to cherry pick that tournament. We'll see how I feel.
I feel like this year's tag league is going to be better than last year's. Especially if we get Best Friends, Young Bucks, and some other maybe Aussie Open, some other outside teams. I think this year's tournament's going to be really good.
Suzuki and ZSJ.
Yeah.
Fighting Spirit Unleashed tickets went on sale this past week. I don't know how they're doing yet.
Apparently not. I think they've sold about 1,500 so far.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's that problem we talked about, man. They're coming here too much. I would have not come back for Fighting Spirit Unleashed this quickly.
Yeah, if they would have ran Boston or Philadelphia, I bet you they would have sold out.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Right.
I don't know if that's feasible, but interesting stuff. Ring of Honor just recently signed Joey Matthews to a role with Ring of Honor. So he's supposed to be doing writing and producing and things like that. So, good for Joey Matthews, former WWE producer. So very interesting. I guess we're not getting that J&J security.
Yeah, I guess not. Yeah.
Also, the new 10 Pounds of Gold came out this past week, talking about Aldis and Cody. We're going to get more into All-In news, but it looks like the match between Aldis and Cody is now official for the NWA World Title.
Yep.
So that's interesting. Honor Reunited, which is going to be running in the UK next month, is actually going to be on Fight TV.
Oh, nice.
Yep. And they also have the listings for the International Cup Tourney, which will be taking place over the Honor Reunited tour. So, definitely want to check that out. King of Sports, which is the New Japan Pro Wrestling mobile game. The full game has now officially released on every single platform. So you can get it on your Android, your iOS, whatever whatever mobile platform you use. If you get a chance, check out that game. Also, very interesting. So I read a report that stated that originally Kenny Omega was supposed to be involved in that 6-man tag. It was supposed to be Kenny Omega as well as the Young Bucks taking on, a luchador team, and then eventually got changed to Kota Ibushi, which is very interesting because we still don't have a match announced for Kenny Omega, but they said what they plan to do with him is bigger than what they were going to do with the 6-man tag. So very, very interesting stuff. I think a lot of that has to do with them putting Rey Mysterio into that match. So we'll talk all in here in a minute. Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor is coming up very shortly. We actually have a match that was already announced between the Elite taking on the Team of Chaos in a 10-man tag. Also, Liger will be on that tour. There was also rare spotting. Kanemitsu and Kitamura, the two lost young lions.
Oh, wow.
Were actually spotted hanging out on Twitter. So what that means, I don't know, but there was pictures posted of them recently.
So they're in the same black hole.
I guess they've gone into another dimension. Hiromu, out 9 to 12 months.
Man, that stinks, man.
Yeah. There have been more updates on this. Apparently, it looks like it is a neck fracture, but the good news is that the actual there's no nerve damage or anything like that, which is what you worry about in this sort of thing. Apparently he is able to walk and he is able to talk and do different things. They say it's going to be about 6 months for a full recovery, and then they're going to hold him back for a few more months as a precaution before he can actually do things. So
especially for the style he wrestles, he needs that time off. And I would love to see him come back as a heavyweight.
I don't know if that will happen, but
I don't know if it'll happen. But
I could see him when he comes back, being a surprise challenger for whoever has the IWGP champion or the junior title.
Champion. Yeah.
But that's great news.
Yeah.
That's in this type of situation with all the hush hushness of it, not knowing what's going on. The fact that we have a prognosis, we understand what's going on, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And we wish him all the best in his speedy recovery, and we hope he is able to come back and perform at full level and stop getting dropped on his head.
Yeah.
Also, in other news, I saw a video earlier today of Kojima running the ropes.
Yes.
So it appears that his recovery is going well. The Bread Club is well in.
Let's go, baby. Let's get this Kojima, one last run going, baby.
Someone from New Japan must have been listening to the show or listening to the complaints of fans, but they have now updated the way that they post results to where they won't be spoiling it for English-speaking fans. In the past, if you follow that page, literally a few minutes after events, they would post the results, post pictures, spoil that crap for you. They start realizing, oh, this is an English page. The people in the English-speaking world don't wake up for another, don't watch this stuff for another 24 hours. Might not want to post it.
Right. Yeah, I have noticed that I haven't seen anything on Instagram.
Yeah, they've updated it, so now you can probably follow that page. I know I blocked or I unfollowed it. I'm gonna refollow them, so they won't be spoiling stuff for you as much. Sami Callihan just recently won the DDT title on an off. It wasn't even at a DDT show, and it was at in a triple threat. So very strange turn of events there. So I guess Sami Callihan will probably be coming back to Japan, but most likely not for New Japan.
Yeah,
working for DDT. Marty Scurll has just re-signed a 6-month extension for both his contracts for New Japan as well as Ring of Honor. So that's one guy that I'm assuming won't be going to WWE right away.
Yeah.
6 months isn't that long.
So what, we're in August right now. That's September, October, November, December, January, February.
So,
and his face is all over the G1 Supercard graphics.
Yeah, so he's probably a guy that's confirmed for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
There was a report that came out earlier this week that Y2J was actually heavily responsible for the turnaround with things with Impact Wrestling. And the report basically stated something to the effect that Don Callis, when they were considering who to bring in, they asked Y2J and they were basically going to say, hey, if we don't bring in the right guy, we're just going to fold this company. And Y2J said, hey, bring in Don Callis. He'll turn the company around. And if you don't bring in Don, you might as well just close the company. So it looks like behind the scenes, Y2J is probably very responsible for a lot of the good fortune that's been going on over at Impact, which is very interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think the last couple things we got to talk about here really is just, Kenny Omega versus Tetsuya Naito from the G1 finals from last year. From G1 27 is the free match of the week. One of the best matches of the year. If you get a chance, check it out. But
before All In, there's one more New Japan thing. So if you go to New Japan's English website, NJPW1972.com, they have a free guide for the G1 Climax 28 at Budokan for all 3 days that you can download. And it's an important guide to help you understand all you need to know and enjoy about the G1 Climax 28, map, merchandise, how to chant. Is all in this guide, and it's illustrated guide that you can download for free on the site. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah. And then, so let's talk about the big story to kind of wrap up the show. So All In announcements, there's been a ton between now and last week.
Yes.
As well as the new Being the Elite, which ties right into All In.
Yeah, so today there was an announcement of a fatal four-way for the women. So it's going to be Madison Rayne against Tessa Blanchard against Britt Baker and Chelsea Green. There's going to be... all the broadcast details were announced for All In. So what they're going to do is there's going to be a pre-show called 0 Hour, which will be airing 6 p.m. Eastern exclusively on WGN America. And then All In will start, the main card will start 7 p.m. Eastern on pay-per-view and Fight TV. Also on Honor Club, if you get the VIP Honor Club subscription, you can stream All In for free on Honor Club. So just more incentive for you to joining Honor Club. And so announced for that 0 Hour, it's going to be the Briscoes against SCU of Kazarian and Scorpio Sky. And there's going to be an over budget battle royal that's going to be happening. And so far, Colt Cabana, Jordan Grace are going to be Moose, Rocky Romero, Ethan Page are some of the guys announced for that Battle Royal. And today...
we don't even know everyone that's going to be in it.
Right. I think it's going to be 15 people in the Battle Royal. It was announced today that the winner of the Battle Royal will get a Ring of Honor World title shot on the main card of All In against Jay Lethal.
Which I'm not super excited about, but I guess that's, we didn't know who Jay was going to go against anyway, so that's something that you can do there. I mean, I'll be all for it if you get the right guy or girl, Jordan.
What's up, Jordan? Yeah.
What's up? But, I don't know. I also have heard people talk about, like, well, what if El Chico Luchador is in the tournament? Or in the
oh my gosh.
in the Royal Rumble, or whatever you want to call it,
the over budget Battle Royal.
Right, so that's something that I think is very interesting. We'll see how that all works out. Best Friends were announced as, they're going to be participating in All In as well.
Right.
So they'll be on the card. I know there's going to be an all-out party, a pre-show party with Flip Gordon.
Yeah, it's Flip's all-out party presented by Pro Wrestling Tees in the Sears Center parking lot. It's going to be from 11 to 3 for all-in attendees only. More details are coming soon. Where to get tickets, but there's going to be beer, music, merch, meet and greets with all-in stars, and a free exclusive all-out party shirt. So that's going to be lots of fun. Also, other matches we got an announcement of Arrow star Stephen Amell will be taking on Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels. They've been building this rivalry on Being the Elite for a while now, with Daniels being the one to frame Stephen Amell for the murder of famous Dick wrestler Joey Ryan. I know a lot of fans might be saying this is kind of a weird matchup. I mean, Stephen Amell, he's had that match at SummerSlam where he teamed with Neville against Stardust, and I forget who Stardust was teaming with.
I mean, my take on it is pretty simple. It's a spectacle. They wanted to get Stephen Amell as a celebrity involved in this, and he's their friend. And can you really ask for a better hand
than Christopher Daniels
to guide him through a match?
And Amell, from what I see, the SummerSlam match, he did a really good in, and he's done some other stuff with the Bullet Club after that. And
he's done okay.
He looks, for a celebrity, he looks, a lot of stuff he does looks really good, and I'm sure he's done some more training in between that time, and then he's in there with, Christopher Daniels. I mean, I expect them to actually have a good match.
I don't expect much from it, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. I mean, the card looks great. I'm excited. I don't know. Stephen Amell was going to be on the card one way or the other. I'm glad we're not wasting the Young Bucks on a 6-man tag with him. So,
right.
If it's not great, we'll see Christopher Daniels kick the crap out of him. So that would probably be awesome.
So updated card for All In. We mentioned NWA World Champion Nick Aldis defending against Cody Rhodes. We got Kazuchika Okada it's going against Marty Scurll. Young Bucks and Kota Ibushi against Rey Mysterio. Phoenix Bandito. Stephen Amell versus Christopher Daniels. Hangman Page versus Joey Janela. The 15 participant over budget battle royal, and the Briscoes versus SCU.
So we still haven't got Kenny yet. So, I mean, what are you thinking? At this point, to me, it just seems like the only match you can do is Kenny and Pentagon.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like to me, Kenny and Pentagon Jr.
I don't know. I'm still wondering who, Jay Lethal's going to end up defending against. Hopefully it's not a joke competitor. Hopefully it's someone that's great. I don't know who, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we still have
a lot of guys that are still announced for the card that are not even, don't have matches announced yet.
Right. There's 10 more spots in that Battle Royal, so, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm hoping that they give Jay a good matchup.
Now, I will say this before we move on. Card looks fine. I'm excited for the event, but I will say this, this looks like an indie show to me. I know it's marketed as one, but this don't look like a Starrcade or something like that to me, personally. Like, this looks like a Saturday afternoon Rev Pro type show or like a super show that you would see on a WrestleMania weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Like, and I've seen I think that there's been some criticism against the quality of the card, and I think it's a fair assessment. I think it's fair. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have been trying to put it in this like Starrcade or WrestleMania kind of, bubble, but I don't think it was ever supposed to be that. I mean, they're advertising it as the biggest independent show out there, and I think that's exactly what it is, and it does have that independent feel to it. And I mean, so far, I'm very pleased with the card, and I'm happy I'm going to be there live for this show. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And and if I wasn't watching it, I would pay. I have Honor Club VIP, so I'd be streaming it for free. But if I didn't have Honor Club, I would pay the $39.99.
Speaking of Honor Club, we forgot to mention. So if you're listening, this is going to drop on August the 8th. When is the sale for the G1 Supercard going on?
10 a.m. So if you're listening to August 8th, it's 10 a.m. today, August 8th, on Ticketmaster. If you are a Honor Club member, you should have gotten an email with your code to buy tickets. You can buy up to 8 tickets for that show. So yeah, I'm going to be on the lookout for that. I'm going to be grabbing our tickets for that show tomorrow.
We're going to try to grab more and then sell them off.
Could do that.
And then the general public sale goes on August 10th at 10 a.m.?
Yeah.
Nice. So you still got 2 chances to get tickets for this event that's coming out. And then you want to talk about being the elite?
Yeah, being the elite. Trying to remember what all happened this week. So I know we got the announcement of, we saw that they had like the Stephen Amell video where they announced the Daniels match. What else happened on this week's Being the Elite?
Man, I wasn't having the greatest day. I watched it yesterday, and I'll be honest, there was the only thing that really caught my eye that I thought was super interesting was just some of the all-in announcements. You got a lot of stuff with, obviously the Young Bucks are doing a lot of trolling right now.
Yeah, they were at a Full Sail, and they were like, thank you, Florida. Orlando, Florida.
Upstate New York. They're like, yeah, so we're here in Connecticut.
Yeah,
we're going to be going to New York.
They were like hitting like all the WWE like hot markets. And then we'll be
going to Florida.
Yeah.
And they're like, thank you for all these different places, but especially Florida.
Orlando, Florida.
So they're definitely like teasing the fact that they might, potentially be signing down the road with WWE, or at least, obviously that's the rumors.
And then Skrull was, he's wearing I'm a heavyweight tank top.
Yeah. And they had Jake Hager in there.
Yeah. He's like, you're wrestling Okada? You're so screwed.
They also had the stuff with, Kenny and Hangman, and basically with Hangman not wanting to give the book back.
Yeah.
And Kenny was like, dude, but I just lost my match. Like, I really kind of need that book back.
Like, didn't you hear me when I said I would literally kill somebody for this book? It's like, yeah, we're not going to really like take a human life for that, are you?
He's like, I'll kill. I don't care. He's like, I'll kill. It's like, I'll kill you, Kenny. I'll kill you, Chase. And then off in the distance, you see like, give him the freaking book back.
Yeah. He's like, shut up, man. Give him the freaking book back.
So that was pretty funny. And then, they announced the matches. They also did the announcement of the broadcasting of All In, which we've been wondering how this is going to be broadcast.
Yeah.
What methods. And now that we have those announcements, it's becoming real. It's becoming very exciting.
Yeah. Also, there was SCU was in Universal Studios in LA again, and Scorpio Sky saw Joey Ryan. He was the only one out of the 3, and so even though they were in SCU, he couldn't say it, man. He was distraught that he saw Joey Ryan. They went to their funeral. This guy's supposed to be dead, and here he is just walking about.
Yep. But I didn't think this was like the funniest episode in the world or anything like that. I thought it was a great way for them to kind of promote some of the stuff that's going on. And we'll see. Joey Ryan, I'm assuming Joey Ryan has to be involved with All In some capacity, and so does Flip Gordon still.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I'm not excited about Cody and Nick Aldis. I'm just going to say it.
Dude, what if Flip gets into the Battle Royal?
Who cares?
Flip versus Jay Lethal?
I don't care about that match at all. They had a whole story in place for him and Cody, and they didn't pull the trigger on it. Now I could care less about Flip Gordon. Flip Gordon's just the dude who gets like punched in the dick by like Bully Ray.
Oh man. But yeah, man, we got plane tickets booked. We got to get our staying location booked. We still need to find Friday AAW tickets.
Yeah, guys, we haven't heard anything from anybody. Please, someone help us get AAW tickets.
For Friday, man.
What are we doing? But I think that's going to do it for the show.
Yeah, man. So next week we'll be back with, I believe, is that the last of our G1 Climax coverage?
Yeah, bro, the G1's over.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, we'll be back with the last few nights next week.
I'll be glad when it's over, I'm not going to lie. I need my life back.
Yeah, we might bring in a third man to analyze the final nights of G1, so stay tuned for that.
I've been in contact with our man over in Japan. He's in Japan right now, so I gotta get you connected to him.
Yeah.
So my friends could be your friends. We could all be friends.
So thank you again for listening to another episode of Keeping It Strong Style. Make sure you connect with us on social media. On Twitter, the show is at KI Strong Style. I'm at Jeremy L. Donovan. Social Suplex at Social Suplex. On Facebook, we are facebook.com/Social Suplex. On Reddit, I am the Pro Black Guy. Josh is Keeping It Strong Style. Make sure you check out all the other shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio. It seems like James Boyd is back. The duo is back together. Rich Latta and James Boyd on One Nation Radio. Check out all the great stuff that they're putting out there. The Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show. We have the Outsider's Edge. Oh, actually, speaking of Ricky and Clive, as of right now, it sounds like I'm going to be on their SummerSlam review episode in a couple weeks. So you guys can check that out.
They gave you an invite for the SummerSlam show?
Yeah.
They just made the list.
So, well, they know how you feel about WWE.
I'll come on the show. I'll bury that crap. It'll be fun.
Outsider's Edge with Rance, Carl, and Kyle Morris. And Grown Men Watch This Shit, our independent wrestling podcast hosted by Jeremy and Chris Bryan. So yeah, check out all those great shows. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a rating and review. Help us get over. Until next time, goodbye and good night. Bang!
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.